onto the first map of Palladino Terminal. So, without further ado, spawning down in the bottom right-hand side of this map, playing for Team True Esports, it is Sol, the Terran player from Poland, and his opponent spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, playing for Team Expert. It is Bly here, and he's already up to some cheeky shenanigans. On Palladino Terminal, nonetheless, we're going to have what I assume is going to be this ever-so-common Ravager rush here. If you guys can just give me a second, I just got to set this. Alrighty, we can get that sorted. It's the first map. It's not the end of the world right now. But, so we're going to have certainly this Ravager rush here. Now the question is Sol going to be prepared for it? If you're familiar with the Starcraft 2 meta right now, Zergs are loving this Ravager rush by all the definitions. Particularly on maps like Palladino Terminal, the rush distance is absurdly close. Sol here is opening up with, I believe, what looks to be a gas first, and the question is Sol going to be prepared for this? It looks like he may be SCV scouting. Very important here, as this rush hits hard, and it certainly hits fast. As far as all the Zerg rushes go on StarCraft, this isn't a couple links, this is a Ravager rush, so Sol is going to need to be prepared for this. He opened up with a gas first, so he is going to have a quick factory here. We're actually opting for a Reaper, going to be going into an expand, and it seems he is going to identify this, so for Sol's sake, we're going to see if he'll start the CC on the low ground. If he does, he'll be in a lot of trouble. No, he actually cancels that. He's opting to go into a factory. He's scouting. He, I believe, canceled the Reaper, yes, so he could have that gas right away. And now he's getting out of Marine. We're going to see if he can pick off this Overlord here from Bly. So this is starting off to be a very aggressive series here. Roaches are out on the way for Bly. It's only going to be, I'd say, around 30 seconds for them to get across the map here. Bunker getting up for Sol here. He is not going to try and hold the top of his ramp here, so these supply depots will be vulnerable. He's actually throwing up a second bunker here. So he is going to have sort of some stable footing, but whether he'll be able to hold this rush is the question. Now, Bly is actually opting to go down south with these Ravagers, maybe looking for a Reaper SCV. Oh, look at this. This is so interesting out of Sol here. He's actually opting to block Bly with an engineering bay in the middle of the map. I saw that on the production tab, but I didn't think about that for a second. But no, it's actually out on the map. This is buying Sol precious time here. Not able to get this Overlord is Sol, so he's going to have to get these Marines back up. That engineering bay was cancelled, and now Sol is loading up this bunker, and as a matter of fact, it's just tons of bunkers on the production tab for Sol right now. He's just going to hold on, and it looks like he's going to be going for a Banshee here as his choice to deal with this. Now, Terran players usually have about 3 options to deal with a push like that. They can either go for, say, a Siege Tank, which can be picked off by Corrosive Bile. They can go for a Cyclone, which can sort of stand straight up, but sort of gets overwhelmed. So Sol is actually opting for a Banshee here. It's basically just going to put a timer on this rush for Bly. Sol, though, might lose this barracks here, needs to be careful here. However, he's got these 3 bunkers here. He's certainly played versus his rush on this map before. Bly's actually choosing to come up. He's just going to focus down this one bunker, picks off the Marine inside it. So now it's just these 3 Marines. Sol might not have enough firepower to deal with this right now. And these bunkers are right next to each other, so they're both going to get Corrosive Bile down. Sol's forced to pull even more SCVs. This is getting up to a very aggressive start from Bly here. Now, Bly is all in with this attack. Sol can afford to lose a few workers, but he can't afford to lose this bunker. He needs to repair it. If he loses this final bunker, he's going to be in a world of trouble. But now the Banshee is out. It's putting a timer on Bly, so he's going to have to get this done. He's going to have to start killing off workers and get damage done. This Banshee's working away on these Ravagers. All the Marines are down. SCVs are on the way. The barracks is going to go down here. Nothing coming out of the factory, just another Banshee on the way for Sol here. He's starting to lead off workers, but he's still in the lead. Bly is on one base. He needs to make this work, and it seems that Bly's going back into droning here. Sol has not lost too many workers with this attack. This Mule may go down, which is actually fresh, so that is another blow to Sol's economy. But it's 11 workers to 17 drones. Banshee tech is on the way. Well, Banshees are out for Sol. He's getting Cloak on the way, so he's going to be able to move out for some counter damage. Sol, his economy was hurt a great deal here in that attack. He's down on workers right now, but he's got that orbital command, so he is going to be, and he's sort of going to be able to contain Bly with these Banshees. Bly is not going to be able to expand as the Banshees will pick it off. So Bly is on one base here. He's getting Ling speed, but Bly's sort of into a corner with this attack right now. This Banshee is going to stop him from expanding. A Viking even coming out. But look at this. We have 2 Ravagers from Bly that somehow snuck across the map or were just rallied from that first attack. Fortunately for Soul, he had another Banshee out, so he is able to shut these down. Loses 4 more SCVs. Now Soul's reaching a very dangerously low number. This Viking is out though, and there's 3 Overlords out on the map for Bly. A Zerg player rallies Overlords for that high ground vision, but Bly might have over-rallied. This Viking has so many Overlords to choose from. So right now it is 1 base for Bly. He's producing Lings here, and Soul doesn't have a wall off. And remember, Bly is a Zerg player here, so Soul is going to be in a very tough situation to sort of shut this down. He's not mining any gas, so no Cyclones or anything on the way to deal with these. It looks like Soul may lose a critical amount of workers, and if sort of Bly can sneak by here, this Ling speed is going to be finishing up. So we have these 2 Banshees. They're trying to get workers done, but sort of Soul needs to be aware of this. These Banshees back at home could be critical for defending these Lings. They're not getting damage done. Bly is on 1 base. Soul knows this, so he needs to be prepared for the next stage of aggression. And these Lings, they have speed. There's no way these Banshees are going to beat them home. He doesn't even scout them, so Soul could be in a very tough situation. However, he lifted this factory. He's got this wall off yet again. 1 Hellion, it's rallying to the back, which is very important. It's not going to be picked off by these Lings. So these Lings, they're trying to get up, but no, this wall is complete. The supply depot is going to need to be prepared here. This Hellion, though, will be able to shut these down, so Soul managing to stop this aggression, and Bly sort of went all in this attack. He's in a very tough situation. He's going to a 1 base lair. This could possibly be for a 1 base Spire or Bane, not Baneling drops, but yeah, basically Bly's in a tough situation. We may see an Evo go down and possibly Ling drops, but honestly it looks like Soul, just by defending this attack, is in a great situation. This Viking has gotten 2 Overlord kills. This other Overlord's running for its life right now. And there's still no expansion for Bly here. Soul started a CC. He's just trying to macro. This is Soul's idea for this game. He's just got the map pool. As far as the question goes, I will reiterate the map pool, put it on the overlay between the games here. So we have this Zergling. Bly knows that there's no expansion up for Soul yet, but Soul's a Terran player. He can expand just in his main base while being safe, whereas Bly, he's stuck on 1 base. He's going to start to mine out here. He's not on a good economy by any means. Soul took SCV losses, but he managed to hold on. We see 9 Banelings on the way for Bly, so Bly's going all in with this Baneling bust. Another bunker on the way for Soul, but it's going to be this 1 Marauder and 3 Hellions to deal with this, but there's not too many Lings for Bly here. He's not producing more with this attack, so we're going to have to see if he can get a connection. These supply depots do fall. Bly just gets through this wall, but just barely. There's not too many Lings here. The bunker's going to get up. These Banelings, they need to connect with the SCVs as Bly wants to get critical damage done, but all the Banelings have gone down now. 1 or 2 Hellions go down. This 1 Ling is getting like 1 or 2 SCVs, but that is not enough for Bly. Bly's all but dead at this point. He's got some tech, but he's on such a low economy, it's going to be impossible for him to expand. He's spreading creep here, but this Viking is going to deny his expansion here. The drone gonna have to turn around. These 2 queens might kill off the Viking here, but the Viking's just denying the expansion, and Soul is in a fantastic position here. CC is lifting off for Soul. He's confident enough to expand. He's got the Banshees, Hellions. He's even got Stimpak almost halfway done here. He's getting up more barracks. He's just trying to go into a macro game. This is what Soul wants. Creep spreading out for Bly here. We have a Spore going to allow him to possibly secure this expansion. I mean, this base is still very vulnerable, but Soul knows the situation he's in. He knows that he may be able just to take this game by macroing, and that's very well the best bet for Soul right now. A bit of a ragtag team of units moving out for Soul. The 2 Banshees, 2 Vikings, and 2 Hellions here. Moving out, gonna possibly kill off this creep tune. We're gonna see the expansion. Soul's gonna be very happy. He is just gonna land these Vikings here, try to get some damage done on these queens, force them back, possibly cancel this expansion. The Banshees are gonna start to work away on it. This Spore Caller, if it goes down, there's absolutely no detection or nothing to shoo away these Banshees here. The Spore is gonna, well, Bly transfusing the Spore actually gonna keep it alive, but no, now it goes down. And Overseer is out for Bly. He got the lair, but 1 base lair is never a good thing for Zerg in most situations. So look at this, Soul even dropping a mule here. He knows the situation in this game. So this best of 5, and it's just started off maybe getting a bit heated here. So we have this Banshee as just sort of free reign. That mule does go down, but Soul, he's on 2 bases. He's macroing up here. Bly trying to get some counter damage done, but these Marines are going to shoo away these Zerglings. Bly did get this hatchery up, which is important to note, but he lost his queens. He's got 5 mutas on the way, so he may be able to get some counter damage done. These mutas are going to give Soul or Bly some room to get some counter damage done, but Soul is macroing up as the Terran player. He's building up a large Marine count here. These mutas are going to shut down this Banshee. Soul is going to scout them. There's some missile turrets on the way for Soul here. And 5 mutas have a lot of work to get done if they're going to bring Bly back into this game. Bly has gotten up to 30 drones, so he's at a decent drone count right now. He does have this second base up, but this is a stage in the game. This is 11 minutes into the game here. This is when a Zerg player would want to be having a third or even a fourth base on the way. So Bly's in a tough situation, but these mutas are going to have some room to get some damage done here. Burrow even on the way for Bly, so this is his choice to try and come back with muta control and what I assume is going to be burrowed banelings here. But Soul is going to start to move out. He's got +1 attack, he's got combat shield, he's got stim pack, so he's in a very good situation. Widowmine's on the way. He's getting up this Terran production, so it's going to be very tough for Bly to hold on here. He's making banelings and he's getting burrows, so we're going to see if he'll burrow at these 2 positions here. Soul does scan right now and he's destroying this creep, but there might not even be time for these Banes to burrow. Spore Crawler's moving forward. Bly producing Lings, trying to hang on here. The Lings are going to try and get on top of these Marines. Soul is just kiting backwards, so he may have to lift off these Medivacs. Those Banelings actually get some decent connections. The mutas are now chasing down this Medivac. All the Marines can unload, but they are all in the red, so these mutas will be able to pick some of them off. The Ling is getting on top of the Marines, but the Marines are shredding the mutas now. 5 mutas down to 3 here. The mutas trying to push this back, and they do, so 2 mutas lost there, but Soul is ultimately pushed back. The supply gap is narrowing a bit in the army supply, but Soul does have a very scary production. Bly has a long way to go if he wants to stay alive. Well, bring this game back, but he's certainly staying in it for sure after that crazy rush at the start of the game. But here comes stage 2 of Soul's push. He's pushing across the map right now. These Widowmines, Bly is going to have a very tough time dealing with them. He's making a few Banelings, but it's very tough for him to afford it on this low economy right now. The income is heavily in favor of Soul. These mutas may be able to pick off a Widowmine or 2, but this is a large Marine count now. The Widowmines are all burrowing. The Banelings do not have speed. They're trying to get in here. They kill off one of the Widowmines, but another are connecting with the mutas. The Marines shredding the majority of them. Literally 1 mutalist left here. Soul just kiting back. He's just going to be able to poke and prod until Bly eventually drops here. More Lings coming out for Bly here. He may be able to give one final push to push this back, but Soul doubling his army supply. He's got this scary bio right now. He's just going to be able to lift off these Widowmines, wrecking the majority of Bly's army here. Bly splitting there, but this is just too much for Soul right now. He's going to push on in here, and it looks like Soul is certainly going to be taking game number 1 unless Bly can manage to drag it on even more here. Soul, good focus fire on those Banelings, and that is pretty much it. All the units are dead for Bly. GG is called as Soul takes game number 1 here. Soul playing very solid there. And we'll just get into game number 2 here. So that was a crazy game for the start of this series here. The next map is going to be Proxima Station here. Proxima Station, followed by Belshir Vested, then Abyssal Reef and Cactus Valley is the order. So we're just going to be getting into the next lobby here. In this best of 5, Soul currently leading. Alrighty, both players are ready up, so we are getting on into the game here. Alright, not much downtime here. We're getting right into the next game. Okay, so spawning up on the top right-hand side of the map. Currently leading, well, currently down 1-0. It is Bly playing for Team Expert, and spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map the red Terran player who managed to take last game after holding that rush. It is Soul playing for True Esport here. If you forgive me for a second, just gotta... Alright, you know, we can sort that out later. Okay, so... You know, and I'm just gonna sort this out now. Alrighty, there we go. Okay, sorry about that. Alrighty, there we go. So still currently leading. You'll have to forgive me for that bit of a technical hiccup, as this is the first best of 5 of the day. We're gonna have ultimately 3 matches here. Now they are gonna be good series, as we have 2 best of 5s to start off, and then the winners of those best of 5s are gonna face off. So we're going to see who's going to advance. Now the prize pool for this tournament is $145. Both, well, regardless for participation, the players are going to be walking away with $10, but ultimately they want to win first place in this tournament, as I think any player in any tournament always aims for. Now Bly, interestingly enough, in this game is opting for the forward expansion here as a Zerg player. Bly lately showing that he's being very aggressive. We're going to see what he decides to do in this game. But seems to be more standard. No Rapture Rush here. Soul happily expanding to his safe natural base at the back here. Okay, so now we have Bly. This Overlord is going to scout Soul. Soul has actually gone for a Reaper expand here, so I believe it was a gas first Reaper, so he's following it up with his factory. He's just getting up his CC. Now he's going to see that Bly has expanded here. He may be a bit worried of a potential all-in coming from Bly, but ultimately it really comes down to a Zerg player's preference on this sort of map, whether they decide to go for the forward or the back expansion. Some Zergs like having the back expansion for their third base, so they're not as pressured as easily here. Now Soul, he's getting up his CC, so very standard macro game from these players is really all it is. So we have Hellions are coming out for Soul. Hellions really in the meta lately. Terran players have sort of transitioned away from going for the stim timings all the time. Now we're getting up to... Now we're just sort of seeing the Terrans wanting to go back into macro here. Now we're going to see Medivac on the way for Soul. Okay, so it could possibly be a Hellbat timing here, but it's most likely just going to be a drop. A Hellion drop from Soul. This is sort of a more common build here. There's lots of room to drop on the map Proxima Station. These areas, for example, Bly has not scouted them. A Hellion elevator can always get some critical damage done, as Hellions just are fantastic at killing drones. I mean, it's fire versus Zerg drones, so not too much to worry about there. Bly getting good creep spread out front, so frontal attacks will be difficult for Soul to get anything done, as Bly's spreading this creep right away here. That Viking on the way for Soul, once again, he wants to push away the Overlords. Bly is trying to move in, get a scout here, see what's going on. Stim on the way for Soul, so he is going to be going into this sort of macro play here. Just a standard macro opening. This Marine may get this Overlord, but this Viking was likely going to kill it anyway. And now we see this drop is going to be deflected by Bly here. These Hellions wanting to land here. And we did see Bly macro up, take that third base here. So these Hellions are just sort of floating around, trying to put the pressure on Bly. He has forced a decent amount of lings, but this is only 19 lings. This is what a Zerg player would usually make to be safe. Soul trying to find some room here, but Bly doing a good job splitting his units here. He's got lings at all of his bases to push this off. Now we may see 1 or 2 drones go down here. He actually gets 2 right away, does Soul. He's managing to pick off a few more. He may be able to pick off a few lings with a good position on these Hellions here. Yes, these Hellions are sort of just staying behind this mineral line, and now they're going to evacuate here. That Medivac is at about half health, so he's going to be pressed to sort of find too much more damage done before he's shoot away. So Soul, he needs to lift these Hellions back up. Loses one of them. 3 drones for his Hellions. That's arguably better than... He did lose 1 Hellion. He took some damage on the Medivac, but 3 drones is a lot better than just not getting anything done. Keeping those Hellions alive is the goal with this build, is sort of to shut the Zerg player down a bit early. Now the Spire did go up for Bly. Soul did not see that here, so he's unaware of this. He may be able to assume that the Zerg player is trying to macro here. Now we even see a Liberator moving in for Soul here, but these two Queens for Bly in great position. The Medivac is forced to boost here, so this Liberator is going to siege up this, sort of secure this position for the Hellions. The Liberator is going to take a lot of shots to kill these Lings, but it is going to be able to shut down mining for a period of time. And look at this, Soul sort of pulling Bly out of position. Bly assumed it was sort of going to be a drop. Bly assumed it was going to be a drop, and now these Hellions are unloading once again. 6, 7 drones have gone down. The Liberator resieging may be able to get another, but ultimately this is some great damage done by Soul, making it work here. Very well done. This Liberator may kill off this Queen. No, Bly transfuses, keeps it alive, and now look at this, Soul microing this one Hellion, picking off more drones here. Bly in a very tough situation. This Liberator's just sort of bouncing around right now, gonna deny more mining time. Bly pulls out right away. He's got this Spire done, but he needs to start producing Mutalisk. His economy was disrupted, so the flow of Bly has been hurt a little bit. And meanwhile, Soul's just macroing up. He's got up a 3rd CC. Engineering Bay on the way. He's even queued up building armor. I'm not sure if that's a mistake, or maybe he just wants to have tougher buildings or something like that. Soul here, he's macroing up very well. He got the damage done. How many workers did we see? 14 drones have died in total in this game. Now we see another drop moving out for Soul right now. This is sort of stage 2. He's moving in. He's just going to drop into the main base, and look at this. He knows that Bly can't see right here. Bly is not going to be aware of this drop, and this could wreak carnage on Bly. Bly is just getting up a Baneling nest, so these Marines are going to be uncontested. He's going to move in. He's going to start shredding drones here. The Marines are just 10 drones gone down right now. Bly is just in a very tough situation. Overlord getting picked off. More and more units. Bly is just going to be able to, or Soul is just going to be able to set up shop here. There's no Banelings for Bly. This mineral line is Bly's worst enemy right now. Just securing this position is Soul. There's no Banelings, and now Soul doesn't know that, so he is going to pick off and lift off. The Mutas and the Lings are going to be able to shoot this way, but this is so much damage done for Soul. He's now unloading these Marines. Bly can't pursue these Medivacs. And now we see a 3-base Terran versus a very low drone count 3-base Zerg. Soul up on upgrades. Bly's upgrades are just about halfway done here. Not even, so he's in a very tough situation. Creep being denied here. Soul is in a fantastic situation. He's getting all his Marines together. He's starting to rally his units. More production on the way. A second factory, so going to be going into that heavy Widow Mine. 2-2 on the way. Soul is in a fantastic situation right now. He's just getting up his production. He's macroing very well. Missile turrets on the way. Bly is going to be in a very tough situation to try and make this game happen. The creep is very well spread out here, so it is going to be tough for Soul to sort of get this frontal push going. He's going to have to be careful. If Bly can get a good engagement, great Baneling connections, he will be in a good situation. But Baneling speed is just finished up, but these 3 Widow Mines do need to be careful. If Soul loses them, it will sort of weaken his push a great deal. 1 Widow Mine connects so very well with those Lings, and now all the Banelings have sort of gone down. A few more have come forward. They're just waddling, though. These are slow Banes. Soul is pushing forward here. There's not too much army supply for Bly right now. He's got these Mutas. He's producing more Lings. He has a handful of Banelings on the way here. But now we see a drop for Soul in the natural base of Bly. Well, I guess his 3rd base technically, but regardless, he's losing drones. The frontal push may get shut down here from Bly, though he's getting on top of this army. Soul is forced to lift off, but smartly moving over these rocks, quickly unloading where the Mutalisk can't pursue. And now we see more. These Marines may even kill off this hatchery, and yes, they do. Soul going to be able to... well, he is going to lose this drop. He's trying to escape there. Going to unload a few of these Marines. Any more time of supply that he can waste. He killed off this hatchery. Bly is in a very tough situation, and Soul is simply playing very well this game. He's getting up a 4th base. He sort of took a lead, and he's just running with it right now. We see Bly, he's finally got up this Baneling speed, but Soul is going to be finishing his 2-2 upgrades. 2-2 nowhere on sight for Bly. More Mutas are on the way for Bly, so that is something he has going. Well, only 9. I believe he may have let off a few Mutas there. Yeah, he has lost 4 Mutas throughout this game, and great scan for Soul. Cleaning up creep here. Soul does need to be careful if he is going to kill Bly now, as there is a decent Baneling count for Bly. There's 15. But Soul, he's very heavily in the supply lead right now. His income is fantastic. Once again, this is how Bly's going to try and come back in this game, though. He's rebuilding his third base right now. He's getting burrows, so we're going to see if he's going to be able to make some burrowed banelings work here. Killing off a Widowmine is Bly, wanting to keep that number low, but Soul has been producing Widowmines non-stop. He's even got a Thor now, so these mutas are going to be hard-pressed to get anything done. It's not too often that we see Thors in the meta for Terran versus Zerg anymore, but Terran players still loving them to push back mutas. Now we see Soul, he's lifting off. This creep is going to see this drop, so he may be able to get on this, but Bly simply may just be too outstretched here as he is going to pull off. He's going to be able to shut down this drop here. This Medivac is going to go down before Bly, but this is sort of giving Soul some room to push in. These Marauders are just pushing forward, cleaning up creep here. This one Thor is just an anchor for Soul's army right now. He's up 50 supply here. He's almost maxed out. Bly going to go for an engagement, but he's going to back off here. Trying to bait out those Widowmine shots, but Soul unburrows them. He has that Bane or that Widowmine upgrade so they can burrow very quickly. We have this Thor shooting an Extractor here. These Marauders running forward to try and soak as much damage as they can. The Widowmines are starting to go off. Bly running forward, but off creep now, and Soul is just split too well here, managing to absorb Bly's army, and Bly is going to go down. Soul managing to take a 2-game lead here. Very well done. You'll have to forgive me, I just realized that I still had the background music playing. Like I said, the start of this tournament being a little bumpy, but yes, so it looks like that Bly may be able to take, or Soul may be able to take this series 3-0. Bly's going to be tough pressed to take it. He's going to have to start the comeback right now. The next map is going to be Belshir Vestige here between these two players. Now this is Bly's map pick, so he may be more comfortable on this map here. Drilling Claws, that was the upgrade here. Sometimes I was going to say Tunneling Claws, but I knew that was certainly wrong here. So we are going to be getting into the next game for this series. I hope you guys have been enjoying this series. It's been a great start. These games, they certainly haven't been clear-cut despite Soul being 2-0 in the lead here. And we are just going to be getting started. Have to forgive me while I take a drink. I don't want to destroy my voice, but we are ready to get into the next game here. Oh. Okay, so all right, there we are. So now we're ready to get into the next game. Players were the wrong race, but they managed to stop the lobby starting. So very well done by these two players, showing great games here. I'm just going to have a drink, as we do have another best of 5 and then a best of 7 at least coming up after this. Just going to swap, and here we are. Possibly going to be the last game of the series here, with Soul leading 2-0 in this series. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, playing for True Esport, it is Soul. He's been playing very well, and oh, this is interesting. We could be seeing some cheeky play coming out of Soul, just trying to get the final win in this series, but better introduce his opponent first. Spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, down 0-2 in this series. It could be very tough for him to bring it back, but he's certainly capable. It is Bly playing for Team Expert, but now if he wants to come back in this series, he's going to need to hold on right now. Now, Bly has gone for a spawning pool first. Maybe he senses that Soul's going to try something cheeky, but Soul certainly is trying something cheeky. It looks like it's just going to be a standard old-school Marine proxy here. This is something we haven't seen too often. Now, it's always been a cheese. Back in Heart of the Swarm, this was the cheese. This was sort of the cheese versus their Reapers weren't as common. But Soul's certainly bringing it back. Reapers have been nerfed. Guess it's time to make Marines again. Now, Bly has opened up very well to deal with this push. Maybe he wanted to just try and get a bit of a CC delay with these lings. Maybe he sniffed this out and is aware Soul may try and close the series early here. So Bly is just expanding, but right now, regardless, it is going to be a while before these Overlords identify this. Soul, even though Bly has an early spawning pool, if Bly doesn't produce enough lings to deal with this, he'll be in a very tough situation right now. These Marines are going to start to build up a number. So Bly has this early pool, but he needs to identify this is happening, and this simply may not happen. These Lings, if they go across the map, Soul could, or Bly could be in a very tough situation. Yes, Soul did not choose to wall off at the top of his ramp here, so these Lings will be able to harass workers, and this will sort of put a timer on Soul to get this attack done, but he's built 4 racks right now. He's producing more Marines here, and now we even see a Roach Warren for Bly. Okay, so Bly, if you can sort of, if you go for a build like this, you're very well set to hold off an attack like this, but he needs to know this is happening. Now we see the Marines are moving forward, so Soul is going to be very happy with seeing this, but there's not too much for Bly right now, but he is going to be able to get this Queen that was just transferring the bases right now. He's going to be able to get on top of this. Now he's just producing. Okay, sorry about that. So we have the Marines moving in for Soul here. He's just starting to kill off drones here. Bly realized that he's not going to be able to just rely on these roaches, so he tried to get up a spine to buy more time. The Lings for Bly did go down here, and it seems that Soul may have just taken this game here. The roaches are starting to pop out, but so many drones have gone down for Bly right now. He's down to 5. However, it's important to keep in mind that this is basically all in from Soul. Well, this is the definition of all in. He proxied his buildings here, but with this bunker that he managed to get up, he let off a large portion of the Marines he produced, but Bly is sort of locked in on these bases, so this bunker is putting him in a very tough situation right now. We see Soul poking out of this bunker, starting to try and work away on these roaches. I assume Bly will try and turn that into a Ravager, because that's really what he's going to need to do to start breaking this down, but he is going to need to start mining gas again. But it's going to be very tough for Bly to come back into this game. He's down on drones, and it may be looking like Soul's going to take the 3-0. The Spine Crawler is going to move forward. Meanwhile, the Marines are starting to work away onto the lower hatchery, but if that goes, it may as well be dead, as there's no way Bly's going to mine from that right now, producing or produce from it, really. We see the more roaches on the way. There's no SCV to repair this bunker, so Bly may actually be able to push this back. Soul has started to produce SCVs once again. He's producing 3 Marines at a time, but it is just Marines versus roaches here, and roaches certainly win that fight right now. So this Marine count is dropping down. Soul really can't push in anymore. He's trying to pick off these roaches. Bly doing a great job microing back these weakened roaches here. So we have this hatchery is going to go down right now. We have these roaches are going to try and push out, but it seems that Bly simply doesn't have enough. He's been producing more roaches, but there's a large amount of Marines for Soul. That's really all there is to say. He picks off that hatchery. He's trying to run away right now. These Broodlings are actually going to engage in this fight, doing a bit of damage to the Marines, but Soul's just collapsing on top of these roaches. 2 roaches left. Well, another one spawns 3 roaches in total. They may be able to kill off these Marines. These Marines are very weak roaches, very tough right now, but it is just this 1 roach. So 2 Marines versus 1 roach. I mean, it's going to be a close fight. It looks like this Marine may just win out. Oh, the roach actually takes it there. So Bly has managed to hold on in this game. He's producing 3 roaches at a time. Soul is actually maybe thinking, oh my god, I didn't actually kill him there. He killed off the hatchery, but there is roaches for Bly. More Marines actually get a roach that popped out. That is very nice for Soul here. He's just producing more Marines here. I guess he says, well, these barracks will take too long to float across, so he's going to sort of try and contain Bly here, it looks like. He's not going to be able to push up this ramp, I assume. Bly's actually pushing down, though. This could be an overextension here. These Marines are going to get on top of these roaches, possibly pick one off. No, Corrosive Bile forces Soul back. And Bly's trying to push out, but he's in a very tough situation right now. This Ravager trying to make something happen, but I'm not sure exactly what. Bly's just simply in a tough situation. Maybe he needs to start droning, go for a 1-base Nidus, but ultimately Soul's getting up a 2nd command center. He's in a very great situation right now. Bly has been certainly hanging on in these games, but making a comeback here. This 1 Ravager's microing to the best of his ability right now. These other two roaches are weak, so they can't really help out. This Ravager needs to be careful. Soul's trying to trap it. Bly sniffs it out. He's retreating. 2 more Ravagers on the way for Bly. So this is an amount which may be able to actually start shredding off Marines here. Oh, Corrosive Bile might actually hit one of the Marines. It does, so this number is starting to dwindle a bit for Soul. He's producing more Marines, but he's more focused on his transition at home. These Marines are going to retreat right now, and Bly is going to sort of start chasing him. Soul may decide to wait at the top of this ramp here. No, he's just going to keep on running. Meanwhile, Bly's making a beeline for Soul's base, knowing that he needs to get damage done, but he is supply blocked right now. It's so hard for a player to manage their economy while this is going on. Bly may be able to intercept some of these Marines here, just shave off one or two. Hopefully, Bly is paying attention right now. Yes, he is. He's going to be able to start picking off one of these Marines, but he bleeds off one of his Ravagers. Ravagers do have more range than Marines, but ultimately, it is just one more, so these Marines can collapse on top of these Ravagers. Bly producing more roaches, going to be moving across the map here. 5 roaches, but Soul has secured his second base. He's starting to mine more. And it looks like Soul, similar to Game 1, is going to be going for a Banshee here. He's getting out a Cyclone. He's going to be getting all the tool he needs to win this game. And look at this. Soul even landing a barracks here to shut down any possible expansion from Bly. Soul in a fantastic situation right now. Playing very well. And this barracks is forced to lift, but Soul is just going to land it right away. Bly doesn't want him to land it. So it looks like Bly may be opting to expand here, trying to keep that barracks away. But look at that, Bly moves out of the way. Soul re-lands it. Oh, apparently he's even going to build an add-on here. Oh my. So we have Marines for Soul. This Cyclone is going to be very critical to defend any attack, but right now Bly's in a very tough situation. He's down on workers, but he's up on army supply. More Ravagers morphing in for Bly. More roaches streaming across the map, but these are slow roaches. It is quite a distance to Soul's base. These Ravagers are moving in, but this Banshee is going to start putting a timer on everything. And so Bly's trying to get some damage done here, but this Banshee is just going to start picking off these Ravagers right now. These Marines and Cyclones can really trade for all Soul cares. He's just going to start picking these units off. This Banshee, these Ravagers are not going to be able to retreat here. Cloak even finishing up on this Banshee. We even have a barracks floating across the base of Bly. We have this Banshee. Bly trying to corrosive bile it down, but the Banshee is just going to start picking off these 2 Ravagers. Bly is now at half the army supply of Soul. Well, half the general supply, half the workers. This one barracks for Soul even lands. Bly is just in a very tough situation all around. This drone trying to expand, gonna move towards the 3rd base. Soul scanning it, might just catch a glimpse of that drone. And Bly's trying to possibly get some roach counterattack damage done, maybe hoping that Bly will have moved out. Maybe hoping that Soul will have moved out, but right now it looks like Soul's just getting up his production here. Stimpack is on the way. This one barracks just slowly being killed by Queen. Spores up for Bly, so he is not going to take any damage from these mutas, but okay, Soul getting a bit BM here. Is starting to build a command center there. Soul's very confident that he's got this game, it looks like. We now see these Marines, this Cyclone, starting to pick off this Roach here. The Ravagers are all that's left. Bly's just producing a few units, trying to make something happen, but nothing has happened for him. Tried to come back in this game, but ultimately it looks like it's not going to be happening. Stim going to finish up, and then I assume Soul's going to collapse on top of these Ravagers here. These 2 Banshees are just going to start picking off these Ravagers. Bly, half the workers. Soul scans for a base. Bly does not have any. He's just on that one base. Bly making speed. Bly certainly isn't quitting here. But Bly's not quit. There's really not too much to say right now. Bly's not quitting here, but he's trying to hang on. But it's going to be very tough for him to make a comeback in this game. +1 bio is going to be out soon. Siege tank's on the way. A 3rd CC for Soul, finishing up at Bly's 4th base. CC. Oh my gosh, the CC's even floating into Bly's main here. This is certainly something. Bly is not quitting yet, but I think he may when this CC starts to land here from Soul. This Banshee chasing one Roach. Bly's trying to go for a counterattack with these Lings here. He's going to try and get on top of the Siege tank. The Roaches and Lings may be able to kill it, so Bly's going to try and get some workers done here. Bio stimming it, well, the few Marines producing for Soul coming forward here, but these SCVs, Soul can afford a few losses. The Bio coming back for Soul. The sensor tower is up. The planetary fortress is building here. It looks like Soul's going to take the game. Oh my gosh. This is certainly something. Bly starting to make more drones. He's not quitting. That seems to be his theme of the day. Ling's trying to go for another counterattack, but there is a large amount of production coming out for Sol right now. There's even a planetary fortress in Bly's main. Another sensor tower going up. The Roach is going to pick it off, but GG gets called as Bly taps out. Very well done by Sol as he takes the game, the series, 3-0 as a matter of fact here. So we are going to be going to a short break here just before we get the second series. Stay tuned, as the next match is going to be a great Terran versus Protoss here. It is going to be Beastie QT versus Mana, so two more very solid players here, and we shall be back in just a minute. Alright, so we are just going to be doing the vetoes here. So we are, just doing the vetoes between Mana and Beastie QT. Okay, so Liquid Mana has vetoed Paladino Terminal, and BCQT has vetoed Newkirk. So the first match is going to be Belshir Vestige here in this Terran versus Protoss. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. We just had one great. Series. We're just going to be getting into the second in just a minute. I hope you're enjoying the stream. Thank you everyone for tuning out. It is the first sort of tournament that I've organized, so it may be a little bumpy, but I think we're having a good time. As long as the games are great, that's all that really matters here. The first map is Belshir Vestiges, the second to be Cactus Valley, picked by Beastie QT. Third map to be Proxima Station. And fourth to be Abyssal Reef. Mana had the first veto for those of you interesting, just by random seeding. And the fifth map to be Honor Grounds. Alright, so we're just going to be hopping into the lobby here, and then we'll be hopping into the game. Between these two players, we just had one great series here. It was a 3-0 for Sol, but it was close. There were certainly close matches, such as that first one. Alright, so the first map, Belshir Vestige. We're going to be hopping into it in a minute here. I'm going to remember to actually pause the background music this time. Alrighty, so we are a go for the second series of the day. This is going to be another best of 5 here, leading into the finals. Currently, Sol has advanced, but really all that matters is we see great games. So we're going to see whether we're going to have a TVT or a Terran versus Protoss finals. Both of these Mana should be in very great form as he was practicing for IEM for quite a while. And we have ourselves another best of 5 here. And it is currently 0-0 with these two players spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map. the blue Protoss player playing for Team Liquid. It is Mana. And his opponent spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map. The yellow Terran player playing for Team My Insanity. It is Beastie QT. So we have ourselves another set of two very solid players here. We have some of the in this tournament. We have some very solid European players. Now, this is a completely different matchup though, so we're gonna see how it goes. Beastie QT opting for a gas first as his build. Terran players, that's sort of just the standard thing lately. Meanwhile, Mana just opting for standard gateway expand, it's looking like. We'll see how these two players deviate their builds. I mean, that's sort of how it goes for these sort of tournaments. Or these sort of matches. It's just standard openings into whatever the players sort of decide to go. Now, these are all very solid players, so but the solid players tend to march to the beat of their own drum usually. While they play sort of the meta, it can vary depending on how the players like to play. Mana going for that gateway expand here. Going to be completing this wall off, wanting to try and deny the Reaper getting any room. And it's just mining with 2 probes on gas. We'll see if he pulls the third, and yes, he does. And here we go. Okay, so this is where I said solid players like to do things. Beastie Cutie is opting to start this game off with a proxy here. Now, it's going to be a proxy factory, so we're going to see what he decides to follow this up. Some Terran players simply like to float factories into the main base of the Protoss. It forces them to get a Robo or to get an Oracle and use Revelation. Or this could simply be Liberators, Banshees, Cyclones. Either way, Mana is not aware this is happening. Mana has scouted with his probe, and he is currently just returning home with it, but he didn't see too much for BCQT. He didn't see that there was a second gas either, so for all he thinks, this is a standard expansion build here for BCQT, and now we have getting up for BCQT, so it looks like he's going to be going for this sort of proxy while wanting to secure a base here. So it's an aggressive opening for Beastie Cutie, and so he's going to need to try and slow Mana down a bit. He doesn't need to get tons of probe kills, but if he throws Mana off, sort of stops him making probes, maybe denies some mining time with this proxy Widowmine drop that he is deciding to go for. We're going to see if Beastie Cutie opts for another mine. Sometimes players go for Hellions with things like these here. A second mine is on the way. Mana is opting for a Stargate opener here, so there is no fast robo. He's going to have to depend on these oracles to deal with this. So Beastie Cutie is already sort of playing Mana a little bit here. Mana's scouting around, trying to see if there's anything, and he's actually identified this now. Okay, so this Mothership Core flew north. It managed to see this proxy happening. Mana, though, is still just opting for a Stargate here. He's going to make an Oracle, possibly a Phoenix right after, but for now there is no detection. He's getting up a Robo right now. He's going to start Chrono boosting out an Observer as soon as that's finished, but for now these Widow Mines are just going to be able to drop right now, and yes, they do. They burrow right away, so mining time is going to be denied here. Beastie Cutie lifts up one of the mines, going to want to spread them out, as Mana is just going to have an Oracle for his first detection right now, and another Widowmine burrows Mana, pulling the probe here. But look at this, Beastie Cutie has sort of turned this into another push right now, pulling SCVs, building a bunker at the front here, moving across the map with these reactive Marines he's producing. Beastie Cutie needs to get damage done, but he's playing this game very aggressive. The Mothership Core is actually going to be picked off as Beastie Cutie building more bunkers, picking off all the Adepts. It looks like it may just be a very quick game one with this proxy follow-up into a push. Mana is producing an Immortal, but that's really all his probes are forced to run. Beastie Cutie's still on one base. A Phoenix is coming out to possibly lift up Widow Mines and shut down Medivacs. There's a Liberator, though, that's just encompassing Mana's base as GG gets called. Beastie Cutie takes game number 1. That was certainly something. As far as that goes, so we just completed the first match. That was very quick. Beastie Cutie opted to throw out aggression here. That's what he went for. So now we have the first map. Well, the second map is going to be Cactus Valley, which is actually Beastie Cutie's pick. We're going to see if Mana's going to be able to sort of bring this series together, or if we're going to have another 3-0. Which of these players is going to advance? Okay, so we have ourselves another Terran versus Protoss. Beastie Cutie is currently up 1-0 here in this series. We're just getting up into the next lobby. You'll have to forgive me if my throat starts to die a little bit. It's not often in which I do long casts like these. I usually just do like the 1 or 2 odd video on YouTube here. Not often marathon casts like this. But yes, thank you to everyone who's tuning in for this tournament. I hope you're enjoying the casting. I hope you're enjoying the games here. These players are just being very decisive in what they're going for. Alright, BCQT is just getting a drink. That's certainly understandable. So the map is Cactus Valley. Alright, Beastie Cutie's back. We're going to be hopping into it. Into the second match between these two players. Now, Cactus Valley is a 4-player map, so we're going to have to see how these two players spawn. But first, let me just get set up the score here. Is currently not 1-0 in the favor of Mana. It is currently 1-0 in the favor of Beastie Cutie. Spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, the yellow Terran, representing Team My Insanity. Both these players on very great teams here in the Starcraft scene. And now Mana spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, the red Protoss player playing for Team Liquid here. So we've got two very solid players. We're going to have to see how this game plays out. It is cross-spawn map. Now, of course, the players don't know that at this time, so we're going to see how their sort of styles differentiate. It's not too likely that Beastie Cutie is going to proxy twice in a row. He is opting for a gas expand like last time. Well, a gas first like last time, not necessarily an expand. He didn't expand last game. So we're going to see, as on a 4-player map like this, players can really go for anything. They can go for insane greed. They can go for sort of aggression by all means. Mana actually opting for a double gas, so neither of these players going for anything super greedy here. Mana just 2 probes in that gas right now, third popping in there, so it looks like we could be seeing some sort of fast tech out of Mana. Meanwhile, Beastie Cutie is opting to go for what I assume is going to be a Reaper here, possibly a very quick factory, but most likely a Reaper expand. Yes, that's going to be the case here. Mana is scouting here. He's moving out with his probe, so he's confirmed that Beastie Cutie is not in the top left. He's moving down to the... Never mind, this is how this game gets started. That probe is no longer scouting. He now knows that Beastie Cutie is either in the top or either in the bottom. So what he's going to do is he's just going to proxy pylon between the two, and then what I assume is going to be a Stargate here. Now this could catch Beastie Cutie off guard here. We're going to see if Beastie Cutie goes for a reactor, if he starts producing Marines right off the bat. And it looks like it is going to be a reactor here for Beastie Cutie. So now this is pretty much the fastest rush a Protoss player can do. Beastie Cutie's got out the Reaper here, so he may be able to sort of identify this happening. He's moving to the top left. He'll move to the bottom left next, I assume, but he's not going to identify this Stargate is coming out. This Oracle is going to be coming out soon. Mana has confirmed where Beastie Cutie is. He's confirmed it's an expansion, and he's going to be very happy. We're going to see how what Beastie Cutie does with this factory. If he produces a starport, he could be in trouble. He's actually going to be reactoring out units here. It looks like it's going to be double Hellion, and Hellions are certainly the worst thing you can have versus an Oracle. This could simply be a 1-1 series here, as this Adept is moving out for mana. The Mothership Core is floating across, so it's going to be this Pylon Oracle rush here. A Nexus is just going down for mana. Beastie Cutie did come in and scout. Oh my gosh! He didn't move in far enough to see the Nexus, and since there was no expansion, so Beastie Cutie has no idea. He thinks Mana's in the bottom right. He's completely unaware. He's now focused on this attack. He's canceled these Hellions, where they might have actually gone down here. No, the Hellions are... they're moving across the map to try and get some counterattack damage done, but this Oracle is out. There's nothing to protect these SCVs, so this Oracle is going to start shredding workers. The Pylon Cannon destroying supply depots. This Marauder running forward, but an Adept and a Marauder simply take ages to kill each other. There is going to be a Cyclone popping out for BC Cuties, but he's already lost 16 workers. The Hellions are moving in, but there's 2 Adepts for mana. Gonna start picking these off, so very few workers are gonna go down for mana here, and it looks like mana is just gonna tie this series up. The Cyclone gonna start picking off these units as quick as it can, but there's simply so much damage done for mana here. GG gets called as Beastie Cutie ties the series up. Very well done by mana, just a decisive build. And now we're gonna be getting into the third game, which is going to be on Proxima Station here. This is Mana's map pick, so both these players taking maps on the other player's pick here. And I hope you guys are enjoying this series. Oh god, my hair. Oh no. Had to wake up a bit early for this tournament, but it was certainly worth it here. Daylight savings time messing with me, as I'm sure it messed with everyone else. Already, both players are ready. Not much downtime. These two players taking decisive games off each other. So we are getting into game number 3 of this best of 5. Alright, so here we are. The third map, Proxima Station. The series is currently 1-1. Alright, spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map, playing for Team My Insanity, it is Beastie Cutie. The yellow Terran player. Fell to Mana's early aggression last game. We're going to see if he decides to bring his own, maybe macro, maybe both players will macro. Who knows with these two so far. Spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Team Liquid, it is Mana. So these two players have gone for decisive aggressive builds. We're going to see if one of them tries to take the lead here with that, or if they'll both simply go into a macro game. Proxima Station can be said as Terran favored, as there's lots of room for drops, things like that. Not super Terran favored, as Mana did pick this as his second map here. Maybe Mana has a build here, maybe he wants to proxy another Oracle, we'll see. But for the mid game, you generally assume that this build, for the sort of macro game, this build is seen as better for Terran, at least as far as I'm aware. Now Mana is moving out with this probe. He's going for an early scout. It looks like he is just going to be going for a Nexus here. Yes, very standard here. Getting up his gas. Meanwhile, Beastie Cutie just going for his same build as before, that gas expand. This probe for Mana is harassing Beastie Cutie a bit. Gonna possibly kill off this SCV. Oh, this is something so frustrating. It even happens to pro gamers here. This probe, it's out for blood, but it is gonna turn around. Mana gonna start harassing this worker at the natural. No, he's actually gonna pull out, wanting to keep this probe alive. Possibly to build a pylon or something out on the map. Either that or he just wants to keep it alive. Not worth the harassing on Beastie Cutie. Yes, Liquid Mana counter cheese. That's how it goes. If you get cheesed out, sometimes it just puts you in a mood and that you want to do the same. And look at this. This probe is banking left here, so it may decide to go build a pylon or something like that. However, we'll see if Beastie Cutie scouts it with his Reaper. It's actually moving right in the direction of that probe. Beastie Cutie played it sort of safe last game, scouted for proxies and things like that, but he got very unlucky there. This probe for mana sort of just took an angle, I guess, wanting to try and avoid that Reaper pathing. Meanwhile, Beastie Cutie, he's getting at this barracks with a reactor this time. We're going to see if he decides. It's not likely that he's going to go for double Hellion again, as this factory is very far away. It would take quite a while to fly over to that reactor. So it's possibly that we'll see a mine drop. Not too sure yet, though. Beastie Cutie is floating a lot of minerals. It could be a triple CC here. But no, he's actually just getting up his orbital. My bad. Things look a little different when you're observing than when you're actually playing. You sort of don't even think about what you're doing when you're playing, but then seeing things you can be like, oh, that's a bit odd. Wait, no, I do that. I just don't think about it. So we have this Reaper for Beastie Cutie. It's just scouting. Meanwhile, Mana's moving out with this Adept. They may intercept here. Beastie Cutie sees this Adept. He's going to try and sneak past. He's going to jump up. One of these Adept shots go off onto the Reaper. He's going to try and get in. Throws the grenade here. And it's actually going to get in, and it looks like he's going to scout the Stargate. Very well done by Beastie Cutie. Suicides that Reaper, but he saw what he needed to see. This Oracle is now out. These Adepts for Mana may move out across the map. Protoss players are loving their Adept Stargate lately. Phoenix on the way, so that looks like it's going to be the style of Mana. This Oracle is moving out across the map right now, possibly going to kill this SCV building a supply depot. Yes, it does. That is going to be a pain for Beastie Cutie. These Marines are going to shoo away the Oracle, but it is going to get a few workers right now. 4 workers so far, possibly a 5th. Almost goes down, does the Oracle. May even get a Widow Mine if he chooses to. No, he is going to retreat there, the Oracle. I guess Mana had already deactivated its pulsar beam there. So 5 workers for that Oracle. Beastie Cutie scouted it, but he didn't have his units in position there. He had his supply depot delayed a little bit. I don't believe that was the cause of a supply block. But right now we see a 3rd command center on the way for Beastie Cutie. He's going to want to go into the macro game, it looks like. Meanwhile, Mana, it's yet to be seen whether he decides to go for a very heavy tech play or if he's going to go for an Adept all-in or something like that. That is the more common build right now. That Widow Mine trying to be dropped, but these Phoenix shut it down right away. We're seeing a Twilight Council on the way. We're seeing a 3rd Nexus on the way for Mana. So both these players sort of macroing, but we're going to see whether one of them will go for an aggressive attack. Beastie Cutie, his may be a little bit more far out as he is building his 3rd command center. His barracks are just getting up. We'll see whether Mana decides to throw up a large amount of gates. I have a thing that's what he's going to do. We'll possibly see Resonating Glaives. Yes, we do. So look, it's certainly going to be that Phoenix Adept style that's so popular lately. Mana has done a good job sort of dealing a bit of early aggression here. Now these Phoenix are even starting to lift up the SCV building this command center. That Oracle stays alive. Very nice. And Mana has most importantly identified that third CC, so he can either macro or he can either go for a decisive move to kill Beastie Cutie. +1 Glaives on the way for Mana. He's going for a 2nd Robo, so it's not likely to be a large Adept attack or anything like that. So it is going to be macro. He may try and play this Phoenix Adept style with the heavy upgrades to make it sort of last longer in this game, getting up a sentry to try and support these units. So Mana looks like he's going to be going into a more macro Protoss build here. Robo on the way here. Or maybe I'm just wrong and at some point he'll throw up a large amount of gates and go for an all-in. Beastie Cutie though is macroing. He's getting up his +1 attack. Stim on the way. These players are playing very sort of safe compared to it. Beastie Cutie is a little bit behind that Oracle. Those Phoenix got a bit of damage done here, forcing him to play safe here. He doesn't have a missile turret in his back turret, in the back of his natural base. He doesn't even have one in his main, but he's just relying on these Vikings, these turrets, and sort of interesting placements. I guess he's worrying about an Adept all-in potentially happening. And we see these Phoenix are just trying to pick off units here. One of them actually gets a Widow Mine there, lifts it up, all the others pick it off. These Phoenix are sharking around, trying to get anything they can, and every pickup is very nice for Mana here. May just get an SCV. Yes, he does. That Cyclone locking on. SCV is going down. This is very nice for Mana. He is even going to get a Viking. The Widow Mine connects with one in the Phoenix, but it was almost dead anyway. Beastie Cutie is just being held back. A supply depot needs to be built for him. He is just finishing one up, so he isn't going to be supply blocked for too long. But Mana's really messing with the tempo for Beastie Cutie. He needs to sort of solidify and deal with these Phoenix, but as long as Mana's sort of prying at him, it's going to be tough for Beastie Cutie to make something happen, particularly with these Phoenix, which can shut down drops. Revelation going down on all of Beastie Cutie's units. And since Mana is going for this Adept Phoenix style, it makes it very tough for the Terran player to push out. It makes it very tough for the Terran player to push out immediately. Sorry there, I was just thinking for a second. So it looks like that Mana's gonna sort of go for this Adept Phoenix style, not necessarily go for a large attack. He's throwing up more gateways. He may go for some sort of drop play with this, but it's not looking like a large Adept attack. It can always be if he decides to. But with this Robotics Bay on the way, it looks like he's just going to be sort of trying to keep BCQT back, then go for some macro of his own. He's getting up Immortals. He's getting up great upgrade advantage in his favor right now. He's soon going to have 2-1 as opposed to BCQT's 1-1 here. Well, even 2-2 on the way for Mana, so he will have an upgrade lead right now. So he can macro, he can go for aggression. It's really what Mana chooses right now. He's ahead in this game. Possibly picking off a Liberator. Yes, gets one. Possibly going to get a second. And yes, he does. That is huge. These Phoenix, losing 1 or 2 to those Marines here. They kill Phoenix off decently quick with +1 attack right now. The missile turret's just pushing these units back, but Mana is playing very well. He's even getting +3 attack right now. He's getting out Disruptors, a 4th base on the way. Mana is in a very nice situation. These Adepts are trying to kill these rocks. That is just very, very slow, considering how many Adepts that is. Okay, so we have a drop moving out for Beastie Cutie. 4 Widow Mines. Okay, so he's trying to get something done, but look at this. Mana has built a pylon wall to try and see any attack incoming, so Beastie Cutie's going to have to turn around if he flies in the path, and yes, he's going to. Either that or he'll have to fully commit. So it looks like Mana's not going to take any damage from this. This Warp Prism for Mana's just sitting back. Beastie Cutie's going for another drop here, trying to get something done at this point. Scanning, Mana sees the Disruptor, knowing that Mana's teching. That Widow Mine had just burrowed or just recharged, so it didn't get off that Oracle there. We see Liberator range on the way. And that is a dead Medivac. 3 Photon Overcharges just destroying that Medivac. Mana not wanting to have to worry about it anymore. Just shuts that down. Now we see Colossus on the way for Mana. He's got a heavy upgrade, so this will make the Colossus very effective. This drop for Beastie Cutie is forced to unload, forced to run away. The 4th base is up for Mana. He's going to have an income lead. He has an upgrade lead. He's down on army supply right now as Beastie Cutie has been teching, so we're going to see if Beastie Cutie can get some damage done, but losing 2 Medivacs here is going to hurt his push a little bit. And we actually see Beastie Cutie's killing off these own rocks. He's landing his own 4th base, so both these players are contently macroing. Now, if you've seen some of Beastie Cutie's games, you'll be familiar that he's one of the players who's not afraid to try and go macro versus a Protest player, but he may be in over his head a little bit. He's one of the players who can use Ghosts. Liberators play that late game Terran style. But this is a very, very scary Protest army. However, this is a large amount of Liberators for Beastie Cutie. He may be able to take this game right now. Mana's sort of backed into a corner right now. He's trying to engage. The Disruptor Shot goes up. Beastie Cutie splits very well here. And this is a great concave for Beastie Cutie trying to take this game. He's going to pick off a Colossus right now. Stimming forward, these Liberators are just destroying Mana's army right now. He's dropping in supply. Beastie Cutie looks like he's going to take this game sort of down the entire time, but decides to go for a decisive attack. Kills off the Nexus, has his own 4th base on the way. These Liberators are on siege. The Stalkers blink forward, but right into Widow Mines there. And now these Liberators are going to lock Mana out of his own base. This bio is stimming forward. There's only 1 Medivac for this entire army, but this stim bio is just going to truck forward. A Disruptor comes out, but it's going to be picked off right away here. Mana's trying to go for a base trade, but this is the sign of a death for Protoss. Trying to push up this ramp. It's not going to happen. This Bio Liberator and a Field of Mines is going to shut that down. And you know what they say, never base trade a Terran, so it looks like Mana's going to be in a very tough situation in this game. No more disruptors is really going to be popping out soon. These Phoenix were sitting back here this entire game right now. Mana's trying to base trade right now, but these Adepts, it's going to be tough for them to sort of take the lead in this game right now. This Warp Prism did finally find room for Mana, so it is killing off a large amount of Beastie Cutie's workers, but he's down on the overall army supply. These Liberators are going to stop this Adept counterattack. Beastie Cutie, though, as I mentioned before, only one Medivac here. So this bio is incredibly overstimmed. Mana may be able to kill off this army if he engages properly. And look at this one Medivac, it's gonna go down. Actually, no, Mana just deciding to lift off these weak units. One shot from the Phoenix. Phoenix don't usually lift off Marauders because they're so beefy. But these are weak units right now. Mana making this game very close right now. Here we see these Adepts are going forward, but this is a large amount of Liberators right now. Beastie QT could have spread them out a little bit better as these Adepts did just shade past him. But Beastie QT, he's got up a 4th base, he's got a planetary, he's solidified, he's scanning for extra bases for Mana, and now he's just gonna start cleaning house. Mana really doesn't have any production left. He's had the upgrade lead, but he doesn't have much of an army. He's got one Colossus and an Immortal somewhere, but those are actually likely going to be picked off here. Beastie Cutie stimming forward, picking off this Immortal, picking off the Colossus. Mana now at half the supply. And not a single base. He's producing one Void Ray, I guess in case he thought this game was going to go into a base trade, but Beastie Cutie has this Planetary Fortress. He's got CCs he can lift and float around. He's just got more army supply right now. It looks like Beastie Cutie's going to take this game. These units are rallying into these Adepts there. That's not really what he wants, but there's only a handful of units left for Mana right now. He's got 8 Adepts to his name. He's got 30 probes, but no base to mine from. And GG gets called as Beastie Cutie takes the game. So, it looks like Beastie Cutie's taking the lead. We could have ourselves a Terran versus Terran finals here. I hope you guys are enjoying this tournament. I mean, I certainly am. My voice is starting to die a little bit, so you'll have to forgive me for that. But we're going to plow through here. And we're going to get into the next game, which is going to be on the map Abyssal Reef. I don't believe we saw this map earlier, so this is going to be our first time seeing the map today. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. We still have plenty more games coming out today. The question is it going to be Mana or is it going to be Beastie Cutie to advance? We could have ourselves a Terran versus Terran finals. Okay, so we're just sort of waiting. For this next game. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. We certainly are going to have more great games on the way, but we're going to see if Mana's going to be able to tie this up, or if he'll be able to, or if Beastie Cutie will be able to advance. Alright, so we're getting into the next game here. It is going to be on Abyssal Reef. Both these players just rearing to go. As spotting up from the top left-hand side of the map, playing for Team Liquid, the blue Protoss player, it is Mana. And in the yellow, spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, the Terran player, playing for Team My Insanity, Beastie Cutie. And it looks like we're seeing, this is a bit of a flashback to Soul versus Bly. Beastie Cutie is in the lead here. 2-1. He's trying to close out the series. It looks like he's going to be going for a proxy, it seems. And yes, he is. This SCV rallying up here. Going to be going for a barracks. Now we're going to see if there's going to be a gas for Beastie QT. Most likely not. Or yes, it actually is. Okay, so this is a standard Reaper Expand build. Modified. This is something that Terran players don't often do, but it's something that Protoss players can be punished greatly by. As the proxy barracks, basically what it is, it's just one Reaper Beastie QT is going to make out of this barracks. To the best of my knowledge anyway. Let me fix that, by the way. It's a best of 5 series. So Mana's moving in here. He's going to see that this is a proxy, and he may sort of freak. He's going to move in, but he'll see the double gas. So this looks like it may actually turn into that sort of cyclone rush for Beastie QT here. Mana's moving out right now. He's sending out another probe. He knows that something is up right now. He saw that there's no barracks for Beastie QT. One Marine is being made right now. So this isn't actually the build that I thought it was. It's actually going to be more of an all-in commitment here. Beastie QT's sending out this one Marine. He's going to basically... Mana isn't going to have a unit out right now. Mana's not producing a Zealot or anything. He's sort of just content. He's going to try and get out a quick Mothership Core. But Beastie QT looks like he doesn't want mana to expand right now. He's getting up a factory back at home. And maybe he sort of just wants to start... What's causing it? Okay, so anyway, while this game is going on, Beastie QT is in the lead a bit. Mana's trying to get some damage done. Mana is sitting on 2 bases contently. Beastie QT's also secured a second, but right now Beastie QT is looking to put the aggression on him. You see these siege tanks shelling away at the pylons, trying to deny mining here as they can shoot to the mineral line from there. Yeah, my internet speed seems to be fine, so I'm not exactly sure what the issue is for the stream right now. FPS and bitrate seems to have picked up a bit. Okay, so we seem to have recovered as far as the quality goes. Terribly sorry about those technical issues. Hopefully they have resolved. Right now the War Prism is going to get picked off. Mana is trying to hang on right now. He's got out Disruptor, so he may be able to pick off a large clump of units right now. This Disruptor is moving out. It needs to shoot. It does. Beastie QT may lose a large portion of units there, and he does. Great Disruptor shot by Mana. Beastie QT is getting up a third base. Mana is just sitting on 2 right now. Trying to engage this army, but he decides to back out. The Immortals turn around. This is a bit of a blunder as the Adepts sort of took a large amount of fire from those siege tanks when they didn't need to. If those Immortals had engaged with that, it could have gone much, much better here. So I lowered the bitrate for the stream. We're going to see if it improves here. I'll try re-upping it at the end of the game. I'm not sure if it was just like an internet hiccup. I think my power even flickered for a second there, so not exactly sure. Now this Warp Prism for Mana is being chased down. The Adepts are unloading. The Marines are stimming, but the Warp Prism actually gets out, and the Adepts kill off a few Marines there. It wasn't the worst trade in the world there. Beastie QT, though, he's going to move in. It looks like he may be able to deny this third base for Mana right now. Mana is down on army supply. Beastie QT is securing a third base, so by all means, Beastie QT is ahead in this game. I wasn't exactly aware what was going on in this game, but it was quite crazy. Lots of aggression between these two players here. This attack is being deflected by Mana. Disruptor shot goes out, hoping to get lucky there is Mana. We see the Warp Prism that survived, going to be moving in for some harassment here. Beastie QT is actually floating his main base, so trying to establish 3 bases. This Warp Prism is going to move in, drop some Adepts, maybe. Yes, he's going to start working away on these SCVs. These Adepts do have resonating glaives here. Beastie QT, though, is going to chase these down. These Adepts sort of more or less just sitting idle right now. Mana is dealing with this drop. Both players trying to macro up. Mana's actually in a income lead right now, but that's going to be short-lived as Beastie QT secures these bases. He does have a large amount of idle SCVs right now, though. Only just re-mining at his, I guess, third base and then dropping Mule at his fourth. So Beastie QT is going to go ahead. Oh man, these players. First we have Manor CC, but then we have Mana not too happy with Terran right now. So I hope you guys are enjoying this stream. Right now we see 3 Disruptors moving out for Mana right now. I guess he's sort of deciding to go all in. Beastie QT is moving out though. So the third base for Beastie QT is going to start to be pressured. He actually turned his, I guess, technically third slash fourth base into an orbital command, but he's lifting off right away. He sniffs this attack out. He's floating off the CC. It may go down, but there's only 5 Stalkers to work away on this. Mana is forced to retreat here. Just Photon overcharging one of his bases, but these Liberators are sieging up his natural here. Beastie QT's pushing in, but he does not have that much buyout. He can warp in. It looks like it is going to be a base trade. Beastie QT, though, has no probes out on the map, I believe, so it simply could be a base trade and elimination here for Beastie or Mana here, so he's in a very tough situation. Mana trying to run some probes out. A few of them may get out. He needs to split these like mad if he wants to get out and build a building here. But all of these probes are seemingly going to go down. Stalkers warped in for Mana. Beastie QT's production has been shut down hard, so really the armies are what they are right now. Mana has an army supply lead. He's down on workers. Beastie QT, though, is mining. He's floating CCs, and we all know base trades favor as a Terran player. Beastie QT quickly throwing up more racks right now. Mana is in a very tough situation. Moving out his Stalkers, I guess, simply deciding to go all in. Another Disruptor or two could be good for Mana, but ultimately he's not going to be mining anymore. He doesn't have any more minerals. He can't mine enough to build a new Nexus. His base ran out just out here. And now we have Beastie QT's moving in. He's going to just destroy Mana's base. Mana does not have a probe out on the map, I believe. He has one probe. In a Warp Prism, he actually picked it up, so Mana is trying to get a base trade going here, but Beastie QT has so many bases, he's just floating around. The Stalker's moving out for Mana. Possibly going to get this CC right now, but he needs to be careful. There is no blink for Mana. Or actually there is, never mind. So he can sort of position with these Stalkers. Getting every orbital is important right now, but there's 2 for Beastie QT. He's producing more Marines, throwing up a mad amount of bunkers. These Stalkers are moving in. There is 1 bunker right now. The Stalkers need to kill off this bunker before more Marines get into it. He's blinking on top of it, denying the repair right now. Is he going to get it? Yes, he does. So this is very huge for Mana right now, starting to kill off more and more units. The Disruptor Shot goes out. They're going to destroy the SCVs and almost kill the bunker off. So Beastie QT, he's going to lose another CC. 1 Stalker destroying another. So suddenly it's only 1 command center for Beastie QT. But it is still mining. Mana has the supply lead right now, but ultimately it is looking to be a game of elimination. Mana has this 1 probe and Warp Prism. He's thrown up another assimilator. He needs to fly to another spot in case he needs to build another. Beastie QT's trying to get the elimination going right now, but Beastie QT has this 1 CC. Mana has not yet scouted. The Stalker needs to blink away here. Every unit matters in a situation like this. It's trying to run. Beastie QT has concussive shells, though. Oh, this Warp Prism is scanned. Beastie QT may get at Mana if he's not paying attention. No, Beastie QT's actually opting to aim for the assimilator. Mana's going to unload this probe, build another assimilator, it looks like. Oh, Mana needs to rebuild this assimilator before his goes down. Yes, he does. This is a game of back and forth right now. Beastie QT, though, he's building another CC. He gained so many minerals just with this base mining. And now he's seeing more and more barracks thrown up by Beastie QT here. So Mana's in a tough situation. It looks like this assimilator may go down, so it may be elimination for Mana. And yes, it is. Beastie QT takes the game. Beastie QT takes the game and the series 3-1. Very well played. Boy, that was a game. I mean, I'm sorry for the low FPS, and it seems that it has dropped again. Huh. That, yes, Beastie QT takes the series. We're just going to set it up. Alrighty, so these players are just going to do their vetoes, and we are going to have a best of 7 Terran versus Terran. I'm sure excited. I'm not sure if my voice is going to survive this, but we'll see. And I'm not sure if the stream is going to survive either, as we are dropping frames, and I am not too sure why. Oh, for Toto betting, but I hope you guys are enjoying this. Apologies for the technical difficulties during this broadcast. I mean, things are seemingly should be going all right, but then they're not. All right, I'm gonna try to adjust the bitrate because it seems that it is an intermediate problem, as we are dropping a large amount of frames here. Okay, the stream seems to be recovered. Hopefully these issues are not too... I mean, I did a couple of test streams and this wasn't an issue. I guess just great timing, eh? But I believe we are going to go on for a 1 or 2 minute break, so we shall be back in a minute. We're just going to be getting into the grand finals here. That image is certainly not low enough. Alright, so I just restarted the stream with a delay. That's why I went down for a second. As it... Okay, so everything should be going good now. There we are. All right, we are getting started into the best of 7 finals for this tournament. Hopefully we're not dropping too many frames. As I rebooted to try and solve some of the issues. But yeah, it seems like we're not dropping any more frames, so we should be good to go here. So, without further ado, at the start of this best of 7 grand finals, it is going to be quite a long series, and we should have some great games of Terran versus Terran. Spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, playing for True Esports. The red Terran player took out Bly 3-0. It is Soul. And his opponent spawning down the bottom left-hand side of the map. The yellow Terran player, playing for Team My Insanity, took down Mana 3-1. It is Beastie Cutie. So both these players sort of flew through their series there. We had some great games on the way, but right now we're starting off with a proxy. It looks like BCQT wasting no time. This is a best of 7. You can throw a few of these out here. BCQT going for this barracks. Soul, Gas, or BCQT. So it's going to be a Reaper proxy from him. Soul going for a Gas expand here. Now, Reapers, when the Cyclones were changed, they sort of fell out of the meta a bit. Now that they've been nerfed a bit more, they fell out of the meta even more, it seems. But Beastie Cutie deciding I'm still going to go for it. They're certainly still a good unit. You can win with proxies. I'm going to make sure that I stop that music now before I forget. So yeah, so this is a very sort of standard. Well, it's not uncommon by all means. It's not super common, but it's a build that Terran players can still throw out. BSTQT opting to go for a double Rex proxy Reaper here, possibly to catch Soul off guard. Now, these guys are really some of the best Terrans on the ladder, on the EU ladder at least. They're very solid. BSTQT throwing a supply depot up north, because why not, I guess. Just going for this double Rex Reaper. Gonna be not following it up with anything yet, as he is just producing 2 Reapers, not a third barracks or anything like that. So he's gonna try and catch Soul off guard here, maybe deny the CC, kill Soul's Reaper. Now Soul is staying at the top of his ramp with his Reaper. He's going into a barracks, he's going into a factory. Now the thing about this factory is that it'll allow Soul to get a Cyclone. The question is, will he have taken too much damage by then? We have this SCV is moving in for BSTQT. It's going to absorb a shot or two here. And now this is going to allow BSTQT to possibly get the first shot on Soul's Reaper. Yes, he does. And this is basically going to allow him to kill Soul's Reaper. And this is massive. Reapers are very important. They snowball crazily. BSTQT jumping this Reaper up to keep it alive. And now Soul is just finishing up this factory. So his Cyclone is going to take a while to get out right now. SCVs are forced to pull. The question is, how many SCVs does BSTQT kill before this Cyclone gets out? He's going to want to start throwing grenades. He's picking off a few SCVs right now. This first game is sort of starting off with one crazy proxy right now. 5 SCVs have gone down in total, but BSTQT, he's not necessarily completely all in, but wanting to get as much damage done as possible is what he needs. The CC is still building on the low ground. The Cyclone is about to pop out though, so this is basically going to be able to force the Reapers back. However, Reapers are faster than the Cyclone. They can still throw grenades, bounce units around, but one Reaper does go down. But it seems that there's so many SCVs going down for Soul right now. BSTQT just killing them off. He cancels the CC to Soul, as he knows there's no way he'd be able to finish that. So Soul, he's down half the workers of BSTQT. He does have this Cyclone. He's getting up a starport right now, but BSTQT is getting up his own starport back at home, getting up his own CC. So BSTQT, very well done here with this build right now. Sort of catching Soul off guard. You need to 3 racks or proxy 2 racks Reaper is still very potent in the meta right now. Soul didn't quite respond too perfectly. Losing that Reaper sort of cost him. One Hellion runs out to try and get some counter damage done, but there's a Cyclone coming out for BSTQT. Soul might think that this was maybe a 3 rack Reaper. No, it was only 2 racks for BSTQT. Not a huge commitment here. And then he's still denying Soul from building his CC on the low ground here. These Reapers are just going to toss grenades, force this Cyclone back right now. BSTQT is really just buying time with these Reapers as they don't have too much of another use. That Cyclone actually almost goes down there, but it survives. Those Reapers bleed off. And now BSTQT is floating his racks back home. He's getting up another Cyclone. Another Viking knows he needs to produce off this starport and factory as long as he can, as he doesn't have any racks. So BSTQT, he's getting up an engineering bay in case there's something like a comeback Banshee for Soul. And it looks like there may actually be, it could very well be a Raven coming out of Soul here, as he does have a high amount of gas. Yes, he does. So it's going to be some Raven harassment, but there is a Viking. And now we see this counter drop for Soul is actually going to get shut down and killed here. Very well done by BSTQT. Only a mine and a Marine escapes. So BSTQT playing very solid here, knowing how to follow up this build. And he's just got a worker lead. He's got a command center lead right now. Soul never started to rebuild his second CC, so Soul's really going to be all in here. He needs to get some damage done, but with just a Cyclone, a mine, and a couple Marines, he's going to be hard pressed. This Widowmine may connect with some of the SCVs, but no, it actually connects with 1 or 2 of the Cyclones, but the Cyclones pull back. They're going to be able to be repaired, and now BSTQT is in a fantastic position. This Raven for Soul actually went, or no, BSTQT never made a Raven. This Viking is for BSTQT, is going to want to shut down this Raven. BSTQT's own Raven is out now. So Soul's going to try and possibly get some damage done with this Raven, but there's a Viking, there's a large amount of units out for BSTQT. There's a massive worker lead. It's going to be very tough for Soul to come back into this game. The income tab is heavily in favor of BSTQT. Not necessarily heavily, but sure, it's only 500 minerals, 500 income more, but That's 50% more. That's a large portion. So we have a Medivac coming out for Soul right now, so he's going to continuously try and get some more damage done. Looks like he may go for a double tank drop, would be my guess, to try and come back into this game. Siege tanks can lock down positions. If BCQT's out of position, he could eat a large amount of tank shots trying to get this out of his base. It could even up the army supply. It could kill off workers. We see this Raven found an angle, gets him, going to start killing off a few workers, but a lot of damage needs to be done here. This Raven might get picked off by these Cyclones. They all lock on, and the Raven is going to go down there. We have this Medivac loading up for Soul right now. Another Medivac finishing up, so he's likely going to load up these 2 tanks, go for a Doom Drop. It really is a Doom Drop, as he does not have Stimpack on the way. BCQT's Stimpack is going to be finishing up. It might even be done in time to deal with this drop, so it's going to be no Stim versus Stim Marines. There's the Raven, there's the Viking. This drop may even get intercepted by this Raven here. Oh, it looks like it is going to. BCQT's Raven moving out right now. Just they're passing each other. He sees the drop, so he's possibly going to pull back or just re-rally his units at home. It could be a bit of a base trade right now. This tank is sieging up. Soul going to drop it. BCQT's tank siege is up first. However, there is more units dropping out for Soul right now. He managed to pick off that one siege tank. BCQT coming from the back. They're going to pick off these siege tanks with a stim file. Soul dropping out, but it looks like BCQT is just going to shut this down, and looks like he's going to shut down Soul in the first game of this series. Soul has resecured his natural base, but he's down. He's down on workers. He's down on army supply. He doesn't even have Stimpack started yet. BCQT's going to have +1 attack. When this is a bad position, this is quite one of the worst positions a Terran player can be in. A Terran player without Stim versus a Terran player with Stim. Soul trying to find some room here to get some damage done. These Marines are dropping. He's sort of buying time by bouncing around right now, but it seems that these Medivacs may be picked off. This Viking is on pursuit, and that Medivac is loaded up. All the units in it are going to go down. One of the Medivacs escapes, but no units in that one. BCQT even getting some harassment done with his own Raven. Has another auto turret he can drop out. And now this is sort of the death push from BCQT. He even has 3 Cyclones. He's doubling the army supply. He's moving into the natural base of Soul. Tank sieging up for Soul. Normally, it's hard for a Terran player to break siege tanks, but BCQT can always go for a Doom Drop, or you can always just push up the front ramp. He has so many units. These Cyclones, this is a large amount of Marines. His combat shield isn't going to be done in time, so he will sort of be shredded by these tanks, but he has so much simply. He scans, he sees this. He may just decide to end the game here. But no, he's actually opting for that Doom Drop right now, and Soul does not have much in his base. He has like 7 Marines, but if they had Stim, maybe they could get on top of these Medivacs, but there's no way. All these units are going to drop it. The tanks are going to siege up. The Marines are going to Stim. They're going to start shredding SCVs, Soul bringing everything, but this is simply way too much for BCQT. The tank's sieging up, but the Marines going to get on top of them. GG, as BCQT takes game number 1. So it seems we've dropped a few more frames here, having a couple of lag spikes. Alright, so game number 2 is going to be on the map Honor Grounds. It is a Terran versus Terran, so really all it is a mirror matchup, so really all it comes down to is player preference here. Alright, so we're going to be getting into it. The second game of this series. This Terran versus Terran. This is a best of 7, so there's going to be lots of room for Soul to come back in it. BCQT still needs to win 3 more games if he wants to take the series. I hope you guys are enjoying this tournament here. And thanks to Afreeca for sponsoring this tournament, as it's really awesome how we can have all these solid players come out compete in a sort of small mini tournament. We're just waiting on them to ready up. All right, Soul is certainly rearing to go here. Both of these players are ready. And we're getting into game number 2 of this best of 7 series. We're going to see if Soul can bring it back. We're going to see if either player will go for something cheeky. It is Honor Grounds. It's a 4-player map, so it's not too likely that we'll see something proxied again. And it is a map that can tend to give to macro, but as CVT, anything can happen. Hope you guys are enjoying the series. Whoops, that is not what we want. Beastie Cutie is not at 7. Beastie Cutie is ahead 1-0, spawning up in the top right-hand side of the map, playing for Team My Insanity in the yellow. And his opponent, down 0-1, playing for True Esport. It is Soul in the red. So both players we're gonna see how they open up. It seems that Soul is opting to go for a bit of a later gas. I mean, this is a mirror matchup. There's not much to talk about at the start here, just mirror builds. As in matchups, there's usually 1 or 2 popular builds. The main thing to note is that both players are going for a gas first. And that's usually the trend in Terran versus Terran, regardless of what matchup. Beastie Cutie, though, opting to change things up a bit. He's going to be going for the aggression. He doesn't care that it's a 4-player map. He's going for a second gas right now. And it is a vertical spawn here, so he does sort of have an advantage here with the dropping. As if you're unfamiliar, on this map right now, Soul's natural base is sort of pointing towards Beastie Cutie, whereas Beastie Cutie's is pointing away. So factory coming up for Soul. Beastie Cutie also having up his factory, but he's opting to go for a Reaper here. So this is where the build's sort of differentiating a little bit right now. Soul on a 4-player map, feeling that, okay, I guess it can be safe. Because the main reason why Terran builds Reapers isn't because they necessarily want to scout, or necessarily because they want... I didn't notice the GLHF there, but the main reason why Terrans build Reapers is to deal with other Terrans Reapers. That's what it comes down to. Reapers, they're just so quick to deal with them. You use on a sort of map in which it's straightforward and that there's no multiple spawns, you usually want to go for your own Reaper just to deal with your Terran, with your opponent's Reaper, to stop wrecking havoc. So we now have the factory. The Hellion is coming out for Soul, so he knows that the timing for Beastie Cutie's Reaper isn't likely to go into his, to cause him any trouble, so he's just gone for a Hellion, which now if there is the Reaper for Beastie Cutie moving out, the Hellion could deal with it. But right now we see Beastie Cutie's just sitting by this watchtower. He's moving out with his Hellion right now. He may intercept this Marine. Yes, he does. Hellion versus Marine, always an interesting fight right now. The Hellion, not very good versus single units, losing half its health to 1 Marine. The Reaper for Beastie Cutie, grouping up with this Hellion. He's going to move out. Sees the Marine, so I guess he assumed that it's going to be close to here, as that's usually what units do. We now see this Hellion is moving in. It's going to go down right away. This Reaper's going to move in. See this SCV. Likely going to be able to kill this SCV, possibly delay the CC of Soul a bit, but no. Soul still needed to bank up a bit of minerals, so it's not the end of the world for him. Beastie Cutie going to jump out with this Reaper. This Banshee with Cloak finishing up right now for Soul. The Banshee gonna have Cloak not right away. Beastie Cutie also opting for Cloak. So in a matchup in which Terran players sort of haven't been known to go for Banshees a lot lately, Banshees are always possible to throw into the meta, but usually it's Raven Viking right now. So both players going for Cloaked Banshee. So we're gonna see who can get the most damage done. Beastie Cutie has opted for an Engineering Bay, so he will be able to throw up turrets right now. And maybe he will panic. His Cyclone actually intercepts his Banshee. He can lock onto it if he chooses. Yes, he does. He's going to lock on and start kiting away. The Banshee trying to kill the Cyclone. The Cyclone actually running for it, losing its lock on in the air block. The Cyclone's just making a mad dash away. It doesn't even want to hurt the Banshee. It's just running. Now the Banshee for Beastie Cutie is going to start getting more and more damage done here. Delaying the CC for Soul. Beastie Cutie's CC is going to finish up in time. So this is very huge for Beastie Cutie, delaying the CC, getting up his own. And the Banshee for Soul Trying to get something done, but nothing really. No kills yet. The Viking for Beastie Cutie's just sitting there. This Mule does drop, and it may get picked off. There is Cloak here on this Banshee. It's going to run out eventually, but this Viking is going to need to stay on it if he wants to catch it. This Banshee playing very dangerously. Going to just focus down some SCVs. Actually going to get a few there. Four SCVs there. So players equal on SCVs. Soul finished up his, well, hasn't finished up his CC just yet. Beastie Cutie still wrecking havoc. So Beastie Cutie's in the lead, but Soul getting 4 Banshees when there's 4 SCVs, when there's 2 turrets and a Viking, isn't too terrible. Looking at the units lost tab, it's pretty similar. Both players went for similar openings. Beastie Cutie loving these Cyclones, so actually opting for more. We could possibly be seeing mech out of Beastie Cutie. He is one of the players who's known to go for it more. Gone for these 3 Cyclones, getting out some Hellions, so this could be a long game. Buckle up by all means. 3 Cyclones moving out. They're going to be able to lock on top of these units if they choose to. They lock on top of the Viking and the Raven, sort of splitting up. We now see these players are going to engage them. Auto turret goes down for each of them. The one for Beastie Cutie falls sooner, though. Beastie Cutie with a very ambitious expansion, now going to possibly need to cancel this. 2 Hellions come out, get great shots off in the Marines, though the Cyclone's splitting up right now. The Raven coming in for Beastie Cutie, throwing down an auto turret, is going to shut down this attack. Soul tried to make some damage happen, but it simply didn't. Beastie Cutie's now getting up his 3rd base. He's playing this greedy build. Soul's going into bio here. And normally in a Terran versus Terran, if the other Terran player is getting a quicker CC, you need to get damage done. So we now have more barracks finishing up for Soul here. He's going to be going into this bio play. He's going to need to shut down Beastie Cutie before he sort of explodes in production. Beastie Cutie is only on 2 factories right now. He's just getting up a 3rd, and Soul has identified that it's mech. Now, it seems that the choice of mech for Beastie Cutie right now is just this Hellion, possibly going to be going into Hellion Viking, possibly Hellbats drops. There's a lot of differentiations of mech, even particularly in TVT, really. Auto turret for Soul, picking off a few workers very nicely. However, it seems that Soul may lose his Raven right now, whereas Beastie Cutie's keeping his alive. Beastie Cutie wanting to keep this air control. Picks that off and is now going to drop his own auto turret. Starts working away on these SCVs. Beastie Cutie is losing more workers though to an auto turret. This is Terran versus Terran right now. It's just auto turrets versus auto turrets. We now see this barracks for Beastie Cutie floating out, possibly to see any drops. Beastie Cutie's just playing mass Hellion right now to deal with these Marines. This is sort of a unique mech style. He's getting this blue flame upgrade. Infernal pre-igniters, I believe. Soul is building up Marauders. He's getting up Combat Shield, he's getting out Stim, but he has a majorly Marine army, and normally Hellions cannot trade up versus Marauders, versus Marines, but if there's enough Hellions, they can just pounce on top of an army. However, it seems the Beastie Cutie is on 11 Hellions. It's going to be a bit tough to kill this army. He Soul actually scans on top of the army. Maybe there was a Banshee there, maybe. I'm not too sure. I believe that might have been a bit of a Banshee harassment there. Now we see Beastie Cutie. He's going for a drop here. Kills off 3 SCVs, forces them off. Blue Flame Hellions are a nightmare. They can drop, they can move so quick, they can kill off a large amount of SCVs, particularly clumping up SCVs when the mineral patches are starting to mine out. A large amount of SCVs may go down here. Beastie Cutie getting some great shots off. 6 SCVs go down. Not necessarily focus firing. Busy dealing with this attack right now. He's got tanks sieging up. He's secured his 3rd base with this 1 siege tank. However, an auto turret goes down. More tanks coming out for Beastie Cutie. He has these Vikings. He's going to need to land them. This is a large army for Soul pushing in right now. SCVs may need to be pulled right now. The Vikings could have landed sooner. The siege tank is going to go down. The Hellions working away on this army, though. It's getting weak. The Hellions are starting to pick it off. 6 SCVs go down, though. Beastie Cutie is forced to lift his base. He decides to give up. He doesn't have a large amount of production. He only has 3 factories, which is not too much. Meanwhile, Soul is happily rallying units across the map. Siege tanks are out for Beastie Cutie, but it looks like he may be getting into a Terran's worst nightmare. He's going to be getting contained on 2 bases right now. If he can, he's going to want to push out as soon as possible. So Soul is looking to possibly sort of jump into the main base of Beastie Cutie. These Vikings are here. They're going to start intercepting this drop, picking off Medivac. Snipes the Raven before it gets down an auto turret. These Medivacs are getting low here. Only a few Marauders and Marines made it into the base. These Hellions may be able to deal with it. Bio trying to break in for Soul, though. These Hellions are engaging. They shred the Marines. Now they're going to be able to deal with the Marauders, but maybe not. There's simply a large amount of Marauders here. The Viking lands gets killed by these Marauders. They're high damage output. Beastie Cutie doing a great job repairing these tanks at the front, keeping them alive. And he seems to have forced Soul out by all means. Well, he seems to have prevented critical damage right now. It seems that Soul is going to try and drop on top of these tanks. Maybe changes his mind. The Vikings all went down for Beastie Cutie, so he can't force these air units back. And Soul's actually possibly going to be pulling back. If Beastie Cutie can secure his third base, this will be huge. He's going for a Hellbat drop to try and get some counterattack damage done, which is very nice. It might have actually been seen there by that watchtower. But Soul looking to get another drop on this base. Beastie Cutie trying to move out. He's actually got a bit of a bad rally there. Needs to be careful. Getting up a sensor tower is Beastie Cutie. He went for this Hellbat drop, but there were Marines, there were Marauders there to deal with it. Gonna head towards the third base instead with this drop. Soul is down on workers right now. Beastie Cutie, though, doesn't have a third base. So Beastie Cutie, any damage he gets done is very important to sort of stop Soul from snowballing. 7 SCVs right there. Blue Flame Hellbats are nuts. So we see Soul's just containing Beastie Cutie. He's in a bit of a tough situation. I guess he's trying to bank up enough units to sort of try and re-secure this position. He's getting Liberators and Vikings. That plus siege tanks will actually allow him to push out. Otherwise, before, it was hard to break Terran siege lines. Beastie Cutie, though, he's up to 7 siege tanks. He's got +1 attack right now. So he may be able to break the siege line. He needs to secure this base. It's very important for him. The tanks are sieging. Soul going for an engagement. 2 tanks sieging back. The Liberator's sieging up there. Maybe too much for Beastie Cutie, though. And yes, there is. He manages to stop Soul breaking that siege line. And now Liberators are sieging up on the tank. Soul is forced to unsiege. He's not going to be too happy about that, as this is allowing Beastie Cutie to get up a much-needed third base. A Viking goes down for Beastie Cutie, but securing this base, it was very worth it. Look at the income right now. Beastie Cutie is down a significant amount, so securing this base is a very important thing. Soul trying to keep the pressure on right now, but Beastie Cutie has this air control. This Liberator is going to want to re-siege up on these tanks. Alrighty, more libs are coming in. This is going to force back the siege tank. Soul unsieging right away. Taking 1 or 2 shots, though. These Vikings, this is what Beastie Cutie needs to do. He needs to abuse the positioning with these units. Right now we see Soul going into his own Vikings, which is actually very important. If you can get air control over a Mech Terran, it's very tough for the Mech Terran to win the game. We now see these siege tanks are sieging for Beastie Cutie, but it may have been a bit too late. He unsieged, and now Soul's getting on top of this army. Beastie Cutie dropping in supply. Soul just went for a push. GG gets called. Soul manages to tie up the series in this best of 7. So that was a great game here. Beastie Cutie managed to take it here. We're just going to get into the next game, which is on the map. It's on Belshire Vestige here. We're going to get right into it. Both these players tying it up. So we're going to see. Beastie Cutie tried to bring out Mech there, and it ultimately didn't work for him. Mech is a style which we sometimes see Terrans needlessly losing games with. I mean, it's very good. I'm just sort of patting down my hair here. We're waiting for the lobby to get made. Well, for everything to be made, the players to be ready. So Mech is sort of a style in which Terran players, it's very good if played right, and Terran players can sort of just crumble against it. But if you're a meching Terran, you can also crumble. And that's sort of what happened to Beastie Cutie. He was sort of locked out of his base, and then 1 late siege just cost him the game. But anyway, I hope you guys are enjoying this tournament. This is the first Afreeca World Invitational. We've had 4 great players. We're now in the finals. Alrighty, both players are ready up, so we're going to be getting into the game. Belshir Vestige, this is our 3rd time seeing the map today. Both players seem to be fairly content on this map. And I hope you guys are enjoying the stream. I certainly do a fair bit of Starcraft content, so if you want, feel free to leave a follow or whatever it is. A follow or a like on the stream. And anyway, spawning down the top left-hand side of the map, playing for True Esports, the blue Terran player, it is Soul. Soul, a Terran player, very solid. Sort of newer in the scene as far as players go. He hasn't had too many like tournament breakouts, but he's sort of stepped it up a bit on ladder as far as I'm aware. And now spawning down the bottom right hand side of the map, playing for Team My Insanity, it is Beastie Cutie. So Beastie Cutie, gonna see if he'll mech again, not too likely. Mirror builds at the start, pretty standard. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw gas first from both players every single game. It's just the common go-to thing for Terran players right now. Not too much to say. Oh yeah, gotta do this. It is currently 1-1 in this best of 7. So both players need to win 3 more maps to secure this game. We'll see if it stays close. We may even get up to a game 7 in this series. Beastie Cutie once again opting for that quicker second gas, whereas Soul has not. He hasn't really brought out anything super aggressive. He was aggressive versus Beastie Cutie's mech in that last game, but that was what you need to do versus mech, so he made it happen. And now we're going to see Beastie Cutie opting for this Reaper again. Soul opting for his own Reaper this time. Gonna be going for an expand, so this is sort of the gas expand. This is the greedy Terran build. Not necessarily super greedy, but the build that Terran players need to go for if they want to expand quick and go into a macro game. As his factory is going to be later than Beastie Cutie's, not necessarily too much later though. But the Reaper for Beastie Cutie may be able to poke across the map, but not too likely as Soul has his own Reaper here. A second Reaper coming out for Beastie Cutie though, so this means he may be wanting to poke here. Scouting out a bit, not wanting to be proxied. Soul proxied Bly right there in the first series of the day. A Hellion coming out for Beastie Cutie, so this looks like he wants to put pressure on, hoping that Soul, sorry I mentioned Bly and I almost said his name again. So hoping that Soul is going for this sort of expansion, as 2 Reapers and a Hellion can sort of shut down Soul quicker than a Cyclone can. We'll see if Beastie Cutie decides to poke with this. It could just be for safety, but right now it seems he may want to move across the map. And getting some damage done would be good, as his own CC is late. He's got a quicker starport. And Soul is actually not opting to go for a Cyclone super quick. He opted to go for the starport first. His CC, he actually canceled his orbital there, it looks like, for a second. Beastie Cutie's going to come and see this. He says, okay, I know I'm a little bit behind, but he may actually get up the ramp here. The supply depots are lifted, but these Reapers can jump in right now. So these 2 Reapers may be able to get some damage done. And Soul being a little bit greedy, going for that late cycle, going for that later Cyclone. These Reapers may be able to pick up a couple of units here. Weak SCVs, Beastie Cutie getting a couple of workers right now. However, the Cyclone is out. These Reapers are going to want to throw down grenades if they can to sort of disrupt mining as much as possible. The Cyclone is going to intercept these Reapers. One of them goes down. Soul may lose another SCV here. That other Reaper sitting in the base right now is just running around. The Cyclone trying to kill off that Hellion, and it actually did. This Reaper is just running around, but it is going to meet its end. It looks like maybe able to get another Marine before it gets out. Gets the Marine. It looks like it's going to be cornered now. So ultimately, this wasn't great for Soul. If he had gone for the bit quicker Cyclone, he would have been able to shut down his Reapers sooner. He lost 3 SCVs. Beastie Cutie lost 2 though. I'm not sure whereabouts that was. Maybe Soul ran his Reaper. Oh yeah, that's where Soul's Reaper was. So right now though, Soul sort of is ahead. He's got the quicker orbital. Both players, though, just sort of standard macro right now. So I wouldn't really say either player's necessarily ahead. Beastie Cutie's got the quicker racks. He's got a starport of his own. The Reaper for Soul's coming in actually very nicely done here. Pulling SCVs off the line for Beastie Cutie. These two Marines are going to pick off that Reaper there for Soul. Soul getting a full scout, knowing what's up really. Both players are sort of going to be a bit wary, I feel, right now. Not necessarily sure where they're at in this game, as they know that they're both sort of equal right now. Soul's additional racks are later, so Beastie Cutie may be able to sort of go for some sort of big push if he chooses to. He can get quicker stim pack right now. A significantly quicker stim pack, actually. It looks like Soul may lift off this barracks to try and get stim. No, he's actually going to go for a late cloak Banshee as his choice. So he's going to be committing sort of to more harasser. Beastie Cutie's going to be getting up to beef of his armor quicker. We see this Viking gets locked on. Soul going for a bit of a push here. The siege tank will be able to shoot this starport right now. And now we see Beastie Cutie's going to have to deal with this. This tank is sieged. These two Cyclones are coming from the back, though. So these two Cyclones are going to be able to kill this siege tank right now. However, the main base for Beastie Cutie, his stim pack gets cancelled. He immediately starts it on his other barracks. But that is a nice pick off for Soul. No combat shield stim pack going to be finishing up nicely for Beastie Cutie. He may be able to cancel this up, cancel it again. This Cyclone ripping into this tech lab, picking off the SCVs. The Marines do manage to pick off that Cyclone, but this is very well done by Soul. Beastie Cutie's lost SCVs. His stim advantage was cut down a bit. Soul starting his own stim, so he's not terribly behind in the stim department. There's going to be no combat shield as well for Beastie Cutie. Beastie Cutie will still have sort of more tanks and medivacs as he didn't lose his. And he got up to production quicker, whereas Soul's still just producing this Banshee. But this Cloak Banshee may be able to get some work done, whereas Beastie Cutie's opting for a third base. Soul may just miss this here. Yeah, he's not going to see that. He sort of already flew over there, so I doubt he'll check it again. His Banshee is going to be able to move in, though, and Beastie Cutie's not going to be prepared for this. His stim pack will not be finished, so he won't be able to pounce on this Banshee. We see Beastie Cutie's preparing his starport, not wanting to have that picked off, I guess. Beastie Cutie going for his own push right now, but he is going to be vulnerable to this Banshee for Soul. It is sitting there a little bit too long. Cloak finished up. I guess Soul busy right now, but he immediately cloaks the Banshee now that he's got it. Now that he's controlling it, he moves in. He's going to start picking off Beastie Cutie's SCVs, and Beastie Cutie is going to say to himself, why on earth is there a 7-minute cloaked Banshee right now? And we actually see Soul scanning Beastie Cutie. Beastie Cutie trying to kill off a Banshee in his main base. Soul actually went for a 1-2 punch right now. Gonna start picking off this missile turret. Beastie Cutie scanned but didn't kill it off. This Banshee gonna be running out of energy fairly soon, so it will be picked off right now. But this is more worker damage done. Beastie Cutie is behind a significant amount. He's trying to get some damage done with these drops, but it's simply not going to happen. There's more tanks for Soul. Beastie Cutie does have +1. He's going to drop, but there's a siege tank in Soul's base. Stim pack has finished up for Beastie Cutie, so maybe he can get some room here, but there is a siege tank right now. He's stimming, he'll maybe get a barracks or two, but he is down on workers. Beastie Cutie does have his third base, but almost half the worker count, 60 to 36, is not really enough to make up for this. And now Soul finishing up his stim pack, gonna get on top of this drop, shut it down. And Beastie Cutie's gonna be in a world of trouble. He's half the army supply, he's almost half the worker count. Not the best spot for Beastie Cutie right now. He's gotten these 2 extra racks, but no reactors on them. His economy is just disrupted so much by these Reapers. I mean, by those Banshees. And look at this, Soul is wasting no time at all. He's moving out. He's on 2 bases, so he wants to get damage done to Beastie Cutie. He never did scout that third base. So if that sort of goes unscouted for Soul, unscouted by Soul, Beastie Cutie may be able to hang on, but it is going to be a very tough situation for him if it is sort of scouted. Beastie Cutie's still down 20 workers right now. Upgrades are going to be evening up here. Soul, having a better economy right now, is aiming to go for 2-2. Maybe fine with going into the late game here. with an advantage, that is. This is just game number 3 of this best of 7, so we have a lot of Starcraft coming up. I hope you guys are excited for this. Beastie Cutie's forced to invest in missile turrets right now. He's going for, these aren't necessarily anti-Banshee turrets, but these are anti-drop turrets, as he knows Soul has the bigger army right now, as that's just naturally what happens when you go for a push and it gets shut down. This Medivac may get picked off. No, Soul gets out of there. Only 2 Marines lost. Soul now knows there's the 3rd base for Beastie Cutie. Soul still ahead in the army supply. Gonna have an upgrade lead coming into the future here. Beastie Cutie just starting his armory. Gonna be in a tough situation. This Widowmine, I guess, shot a tank or something like that. Gonna be ready to shoot again. I guess Soul may be waiting for a scan or something like that. Soul has sort of given Beastie Cutie a bit of room to breathe, but he's still got a 40 army supply advantage. He's gonna have an upgrade advantage here. Not immediately, but in the future, he's going to have more production as well. Soul is in a great spot right now. Beastie Cutie still down 10 workers. And it seems that Soul may have decided it's time to push the 3rd base. And Beastie Cutie, I'm not sure he has enough beef in his army to sort of shut this down. Soul can sort of go any position, and Beastie Cutie is forced to move back and forth as he doesn't have enough to split up and defend this. It seems that Soul may just go for it, though. Beastie Cutie, though, managing to siege up in time, force this back. Soul needs to be careful. Eating a few siege tank shots with stim marines can sort of quickly even up the army supply. It's currently 140 to 180 supply right now. Both players trying to play their best right now. Looking at the unit count, there's a massive marine lead for Soul right now, but the siege tanks are actually even pretty much. Siege tank sieging up for Beastie Cutie. He's gonna try and hold this 3rd base. He loses his Vikings though, but he's managing to hold on right now, and this is very nice for Beastie Cutie. If he holds this position, he'll be fine. Eventually, if both players can get maxed out, that completely changes the game. Soul does have 2-2 on the way sooner. He's actually gonna have possibly a window to make an attack work in about a minute or 30 seconds when this upgrade finishes. But for now, though, it's not the end of the world for Beastie Cutie if he just manages to hang on. He's gone for a drop here. He's actually going to deny the 4th base. Soul actually double expanding, though. He decided, okay, yeah, you're just sitting back. I'll just abuse my economic advantage, and that's how he's going to hang on. These siege tanks, this massive army for Soul, he's maxed out. He can really throw this army if he wants a Beastie Cutie, but he doesn't want to take a terrible fight. If he maybe just went for sort of a stim and just scan Beastie Cutie, Beastie Cutie's quite exposed right now. If he can find an angle, he's repositioning too quick. Soul now getting up his 4th base with a planetary, even building one in the middle of the map. I'm not sure if this is BM or what, or if he didn't want to deal with this Marine. And I believe that's the case. Probably didn't want to clear up the Marine, maybe a bit busy at the front, so he just said, okay, I need a CC, I'll prepare, I have plenty, let's throw it. Okay, so Soul stimming forward, picking off these 2 Liberators. Beastie Cutie has been trying to get this air control right now. Soul has 2 Vikings, though. And both players are losing a couple Marines, but Soul lost a large amount of Vikings when he had to pick off those Liberators. Beastie Cutie's going for a counter Doom drop here. Mostly Marine, actually all Marine here. Gonna be counting on Soul not having any production in his main base, but really he's gonna fly over another base for Soul as he goes for this drop. And now we see Soul's gone for his own Doom drop into the base of Beastie Cutie. Soul may be seeing this and thinking, okay, where's your army at right now? Is he going to pull back into his main? He's got a couple of Marines, a siege tank, and some Vikings, and he's actually prepared for this, the sensor tower, so he may be able to pick off 1 or 2 of the Medivacs right away. GG gets called as he does that. Soul sort of just out-positioning Beastie Cutie eventually. Very well played by Soul. So Soul taking the lead 2-1. This is a very close TVT series, skill-wise, it seems. So the next map in this tournament is going to be, let me just pull it up, it is going to be Cactus Valley. I hope you guys are enjoying this tournament. Make sure to send your love to Afreeca TV for sponsoring it, as it wouldn't be possible without them doing it. I also do a fair bit of Starcraft on this stream. Not necessarily all the time, but when I'm streaming on this website, it's usually Starcraft. Alrighty, so we're ready. We're going to be getting into the 4th game of this series. Soul currently leads the series 2-1 here. Beastie Cutie took the first game, but now Soul is sort of bringing it back here. And we're getting into the map Cactus Valley. Second time seeing this map today. We're going to see, or maybe the 3rd. We're going to see if it's going to be cross-spawn, and yes it is. This could make for one hell of a TVT. Spawning up in the top left-hand side of the map, on the map Cactus Valley, it is Soul playing for True Esport, and his opponent spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map. It is Beastie Cutie playing for Team My Insanity. So, this indirectly, just from the map spawns being crossed, could lead to a very, very long TVT. My voice might not survive this one, as Beastie Cutie could decide to mech in these positions. Both players just naturally, it's hard to kill your opponent, so naturally you build up a bigger army, your opponent builds up a bigger army. So we're gonna sort of see who can take the lead in this series. Well, who can take this map if it goes into that crazy macro. Right now we're seeing standard gas first from these players. The same build every game. We're probably going to see this till the end of the tournament, but really what we're waiting to see right now is Soul going to take this lead 3-1, or will Beastie Cutie be able to bring it back 2-2? As I said, this game could very well go to a best of 7. Both these Terran players playing very well right now. Two very solid European Terrans. Factory coming up for Beastie Cutie seems to be his trend in this game, whereas Soul decides to go for the early CC. So Beastie Cutie wanting to be aggressive, but once again, on a cross-spawn map, this sort of leads to the defender, to the players who don't want to be aggressive. So this already puts Soul in a decent position. Soul actually rallying his Reaper out to the center of the map. Beastie Cutie rallying his just to his ramp. Possibly going to be waiting for that second Reaper, but no, Beastie Cutie's actually going for a tech lab very quickly here. This is interesting here. Maybe he's going to go for a Marauder to try and defend any potential Reaper shenanigans. Or maybe we'll... This is actually a really interesting build from Beastie Cutie. Okay, so he's lifting it off. Okay, so he's going to go for a very, very quick Banshee here. Beastie Cutie actually moving out with his Reaper a bit greedy, a bit sort of dangerous here. Just sticking with the 1 Hellion back at his base. Whereas Soul has pulled back, he's just getting up his CC. He's going to enjoy a much, much quicker expansion. He's going to enjoy having more money once that gets rolling out. Now, Beastie Cutie, though, this is like quite an aggressive build here. He's opting for the Banshee. Before, it was just quicker Factory. Now it's actually quicker Starport. Going to be quicker, possibly Cloaked Banshee here. He's building up a lot of gas. He's building up... And he's got the minerals, so yes, Banshee on the way. Now this is cross-spawn. Beastie Cutie has identified this, I believe. Yes, he has, so he's moving back up there. I believe his Reaper saw the Reaper of Soul. Now, Soul has his Reaper out on the map somewhere. Yes, he's looking for Beastie Cutie, wants to identify where he is. And now it's up to these two Marines to sort of push this Reaper back. There's the Hellion for Beastie Cutie, but not too much for Beastie Cutie to get done here. Soul enjoying that extra mule. Going to be producing those extra SCVs, and now there's a Cyclone out. So Soul is fine. This Reaper first Soul sort of jumped up and then was forced back immediately. He sees there's no expansion. But whether he'll be prepared for aggression, he's starting a Widowmine. This can help shut down a Banshee. Viking on the way, help shut down a Banshee or a Raven. So right now, sort of Soul in the lead economically, and he will sort of grow until Beastie Cutie's CC finishes up for himself, which is going to be a while right now. The first Banshee is out for Beastie Cutie, so he's got another one, and he's got another one on the way. So we're going to see. Beastie Cutie in the last game lost to something like a... He sort of lost a large amount of workers to something like a 7-minute Banshee, which is just not common at all. However, look at this. Soul intercepting Beastie Cutie's Banshee here. However, that Viking, I believe it was just on autopilot. He might not have actually seen that. So Soul could be in a tough situation right now. So he's actually going to start losing workers here. There's no engineering bay on the way, so he's going to have to burn scans. The Viking, the Cyclone lock-on, he may be able to kill off this Banshee. He scans again to shut it down. Oh, is he not actually going to kill it? This Banshee actually escapes. That is huge for Beastie Cutie, and that is not going to make Soul too happy there. Now, however, let's take a look. Okay, so both the Banshees are still alive for Beastie Cutie. This one moving in here, he's going to start picking off more and more workers. Soul is moving out, trying to get some damage done out of desperation, I guess. But he's pulling back right now. This is sort of where a Terran player starts to fall apart. He started an engineering bay, but the Banshee canceled it. This isn't looking good for Soul. The Marines can sort of absorb a lot of shots, but there's more workers that went down in the main base to the Banshee. Beastie Cutie still got both of these alive right now. And avoids another scan. One scan goes down, so he does finally kill off one of those Banshees, but there's another. It's rebuilding energy. It will be able to go in again. And this engineering bay is just resuming for Soul, so Beastie Cutie took the worker advantage. He went for that early gas investment, and this time it paid off. So we have a siege tank moving across the map. One siege tank. The Cyclone could actually possibly deal a bit of damage to it, but no. Beastie Cutie just retreating fully. Gonna pull everything to defend this. He's got 3 of his own tanks. Soul has a couple of medivacs though, so he could elevate her into the main base. As far as stim goes, Beastie Cutie once again with the quicker stim pack, whereas Soul does not have it, so this game is going Beastie Cutie's way. He may be looking to tie up the series here. Siege tank sieging up for Beastie Cutie, getting great shots off on those Marines there. And meanwhile, we see another 8 SCVs go down. Soul is not in a great spot right now. Beastie Cutie is ahead. He went for that later CC, but he is in a great spot right now because of all this damage he got done. Soul trying to go for a drop right now. Beastie Cutie, though, repositioned a tank in the main. Marines have been rallied. These units are going to start dropping, but there's immediately a tank just destroying one of Beastie Cutie's tanks, or one of Soul's tanks. Beastie Cutie now coming in with more and more units, going to be able to pick up this tank, and this is great for Beastie Cutie. Beastie Cutie. Okay. So we now have Soul possibly going for another drop. He's landing these Vikings. This is a bit of a sign of despair, or being desperate as but this may actually get some damage on lifting these Vikings. Going into the main bases, Beastie Cutie is moving out across the map. And he's got the much quicker stim pack. He's got the faster +1. This sort of is a trend in this series right now. And now this drop for Soul, though, is going to move into the main base of Beastie Cutie. He's going to start picking off SCVs. However, this main attack for Beastie Cutie could be very damaging. However, Soul does have a large amount of his army back at home. We sort of saw this in the previous game in which Beastie Cutie went for some counter damage, but Soul was prepared. This time, though, there's a much bigger window for Beastie Cutie, and he's actually going to drop these units. There's a Liberator there, but the Stim Pack and the Combat Shield are both exposed. These Marines are going to stim. They're going to want to pick off that Liberator right away. They do just that. More units elevatoring in. The Combat Shield is going to go down. This is very nice for Beastie Cutie, as he doesn't have his own started. However, he's actually possibly just going to kill all these units. Wants to pick off that Siege Tank. Gets right on top of it. However, it seems he may have bled off a few too many units here. This Medivac trying to heal these Marines. This one Marine survives. Actually, no, it doesn't. So it's up to these 2 tanks to try and get some damage done. 2 more Marines are elevated in. This may be enough to sort of turn the tide. That one Siege Tank, though, is repairing. Meanwhile, at Beastie Cutie's base. He sort of shut down that drop. Both players are just on 2 CCs, but GG gets called as Beastie Cutie does enough damage and ties the series up. We're at 2-2 right now. Very well done by both these players. They're sort of going really toe-to-toe here. So we just played Cactus Valley. It's time for Abyssal Reef here. We're going to see who's going to take the lead. This is really where in a series where it starts to get worrying, because the next player who takes a map is going to be on game point in the match following that. I hope you guys are enjoying. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Alright, but we're going to be getting into the next match, which is going to be on Abyssal Reef here, so we're going to get to see some ragdoll marines flying around when they get shot by siege tanks, hopefully. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. Alright, and both players are ready up, so you know what that means. Game 5 of this best of 7 is going to be starting right now. Soul versus Beastie Cutie. And if I'm saying QT right, I think that's a bit QT wrong, because, and I'm sort of slurring it. No, it's not because I'm drunk, it's because my voice is a little bit tired here. Not usually that I'm casting series this long, but when you have players this great, you want to see best of 7 series. Now look at this. What are the odds here? We're going to be seeing a double proxy. These players are not going to notice each other. Okay, this is, I think a smile's on my face right now. As this is just too great. We're seeing both players going for a proxy right now. Soul opting to go for a double, whereas Beastie Cutie's going for a bit of a delayed one. We're gonna, okay, I'm actually, this is actually so great. But from the looks of things, Beastie Cutie may lose out a little bit, as Soul, I think, is opting for a proxy that's gonna hit quicker. Beastie Cutie has opted just for sort of a later racks, whereas Soul's gone for 2. He got the quicker gas. So looking at the barracks production time, I believe Souls will sort of hit quicker and harder. He's down on SCVs right now. Now, Soul sort of did go the long way around to try and avoid being scouted, whereas Beastie Cutie sort of just went straight for it, and then he went to this spot. This is exactly where he proxied mana. So even though it's different matchups, these guys are still loving their proxy right now. And the best part is neither player has any idea what's going on this game. They're both just, okay, yeah, I'm proxying him. He's probably going for an opening. Both these players are probably thinking, all right, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to try and get a win here. But look at this. This is where Soul changes it up. And this could sort of be what decides the fate of this game. Soul going for the Marauder proxy. This was common, I believe, at the end of Heart of the Swarm, early into Legacy of the Void here. So we have the Marauder. We're going to have Marauder Concussive Shell for Soul. Now, this is interesting. Anything else, if this was Marines, Soul would simply die to Reapers. But Marauders with Concussive Shell can tag and catch Reapers, whereas Beastie Cutie going for 2 Reapers right now. Now, I believe Reapers fare much better against SCVs than Marauders do against Reapers, as the Reapers can regenerate in case they sort of take a few hits from the SCVs. The Reapers kill SCVs quicker, and now Beastie Cutie is running in. He's going to see this. He's going to say, oh my god. He throws up a bunker immediately. He knows this game can sort of get whacked, and something like that is a great investment. A wall for Beastie Cutie, going to be up, but it's not going to matter. We now see all the SCVs for Beastie Cutie. Soul getting up his own bunker. This could go into a crazy base trade here. Okay, so 3 Reapers for BCQD. He's killed the SCVs much quicker than Soul's SCVs. Soul just losing off all of his units. He has the Marauders though. But with Reapers regenerating, I'm tempted to say this is going to go BCQD's way. He's going to run these SCVs right now. And if he keeps even half of these SCVs alive, he's in a great position as he's got 14 SCVs. Look at that SCV corpse floating around here. Now, if we look at this, there's a command center for BCQD. He's got a large amount of SCVs. Soul, he just immediately lost all of his. You can't run from the Reapers, so this is sort of where the game becomes interesting. There's 11 SCVs and 5 Reapers versus what's going to be 6 Marauders. 6 Marauders certainly beats 6 Reapers in a straight-up fight, but BCQD, he's now investing in a Widow Mine. He built a factory, and this is so smart of him as Soul. It's going to be hard for him to scan. Losing even 1 Marauder to a Widow Mine is huge. And we actually see BCQD, because of this factory, he saw this meal, so he's going to be able to get on top of it right now. And now we see the Marauders are moving across the map for Soul. This is, it's going to be a bit of a game of cat and mouse right now. There's 1 SCV for Soul. BCQD is going to try and hold the top of this ramp. He needs to be paying attention though. Soul, oh, BCQD may lose a Reaper here. Oh, one of them gets tagged and it does go down. So I believe there may have been a Marauder lost. Yes, there was. There was 1 Marauder lost. And there's actually the Widow Mine goes down too. This is very important. However, BCQT has secured the top of the ramp. Soul is just going in with these Marauders, but I believe this is going to be too much for BCQT and that Soul will not be able to break this. He's trying to hang on. These Reapers are microing to the best of their ability. A few Marines were made, and now these Marauders are seemingly going to go down. It's going to be close, but yes, BCQT takes the game in that crazy proxy versus proxy. Very well played by BCQT. Sort of just, well, not necessarily. Soul had a bit of a rough time there. You can't admit that going for a proxy Marauder versus proxy Reaper, one of the worst things you can do versus it. So we just played on the map Abyssal Reef, which means Palladino Terminal is going to be the next map. And this is another short map, so we could certainly see some sort of crazy shenanigans go out, some crazy aggression here. But this game is simply fantastic here. I don't even remember if in that game if I bothered to set that. I was just, yeah, I didn't even, in that game I didn't even bother to set the map score. It just got started so quickly, so my mistake on that. But this is, what a great, maps like that. They're quick, but situations like that, it's always great to see how players react. We're just going to be getting into the next game here. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream. With games like that, this best of 7 could be over pretty quickly, as BCQT is now going to be on match point here. Alrighty, and we're getting into what could possibly be the final game, as BCQT is going to try and take this. But Soul's certainly shown capability of being able to bring BCQT down. So, the map is Palladino Terminal. Going on into game number 6 of this best of 7. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream. Alright, and spawning down the bottom right-hand side of the map, the red Terran player who is currently down 2 to 3. It is Soul. And now BCQT, the man who just needs 1 more map win, playing for Team Mayan Sanity in the green. So, we're going to see how this game sort of plays out. This, I mean, it's a Terran versus Terran. The board's just been reset. There's no proxy Marauders. There's no Reapers right now. But we're going to see sort of what it delves into. Looking like it's just going to be that sort of standard gas first for both players again, though. BCQT opting to put his racks a bit in. Maybe a bit worried about some Cyclone pushes, things like that. Soul opting to put his on the top of his ramp. Players can argue about this all day. Ultimately, I don't have much to talk about at the start of a mirror TVT. So now this is where things are sort of changing up, though. Soul actually going for an early second guess too. So these players are going to more or less butt heads at the start of this game, I believe. As in the past few games, it's been Beastie Cutie's gone for the gas, whereas Soul has played sort of defensive. Whereas on a map like this, with how close the players are, you can't blame Soul for not wanting to macro here. So, Reaper out on the way for Beastie Cutie, whereas Soul is delaying his a little bit for a very, very quick factory, then getting the Reaper here. I believe that may just be a bit of a choice on how the gases were timed. Soul now getting his supply depot, sealing that wall off. Beastie Cutie not having that though, and opting for the more vision, I guess. On this map, there is the sort of vision blocker at the base, which drops can be done. Very standard builds from these players, so it seems that Beastie Cutie had the bit later orbital command, but really, once again, this is all, there's not much to talk about at the start of a mirror TVT. We're gonna see though, how much will these players commit to any aggression. Soul going for a second Reaper, faster starport, whereas Beastie Cutie is opting for a Cyclone. He's opting for his own starport now, and he's getting up a reactor here, so we're gonna see sort of what this game turns into. We could see that it's sort of been common a bit lately for Terran players to go for a Cyclone Marine drop, and this is sort of looking what Beastie Cutie could be going for here. Soul, though, on the other hand, possibly opting for the same thing, but he has these early Reapers. He invested into 2 Reapers as opposed to 1. And the second Cyclone out for Soul, so it looks like it's going to be a double Cyclone drop for Soul would be my best guess. Beastie Cutie getting out a second Cyclone of his own. These players, it's going to be interesting to see sort of what this game develops into. Look at that, Soul knowing that this drop spot can be a bit critical, building a supply depot there, because why not? You got to build a supply depot, may as well use the vision. Beastie Cutie moving in with a Reaper here. Gonna see everything, really. I'm not sure if he'll know what to make of it, as it is just sort of some aggressive build here. It could be a Banshee. So both players really haven't gone for anything too decisive right now. Soul clears up that drop, moves out immediately with his Medivac. Beastie Cutie moving out with his Cyclones and Marines. So going to be more of a frontal push for Beastie Cutie, it looks like, where Soul's going for a drop. Oh, and these might actually cross paths here. Soul is going to hit faster, though. These Reapers may actually go down. Throws down grenades. This is very critical right now. These Cyclones are going to battle, but Soul losing out. Picks up one of them and saves it. Medivac gets locked onto by this, though, and needs to be careful. May actually lose this Medivac to these Cyclones, so this is where this game really starts to go Beastie Cutie's way. He could actually possibly take this game just early on here. Beastie Cutie invested in another Cyclone. I believe he lost one. No, he actually kept them all alive, lifted one up into the Medivac, whereas Soul lost a Cyclone. Beastie Cutie lost some Marines and a Cyclone. Soul actually just jumped in with that Reaper and picked that Cyclone off. Look at that. Beastie Cutie wanted to repair it and keep it alive, but that was nice by Soul. Now Soul, a player who's been trending towards macro, once again goes for the CC. He's had a few more SCVs, and he's getting up a Siege Tank, so this isn't a terrible spot for him. This Reaper actually gets in, whereas Beastie Cutie's moving out on the map. This Reaper's going to be a nuisance, start working away on SCVs, but it is ultimately going to go down here. Denying a bit of mining time, getting some scouting. Most importantly, seeing there's probably going to be some aggression coming out. There is a Siege Tank moving down this ramp, but it does need to siege up here, as Cyclones can quickly pick off a Siege Tank. And Raven goes down with an auto turret, but ultimately those Cyclones lift off, but they do get cleared up, though, that Viking and auto turret managing to work them down. This supply depot will need to be repaired, but that one certainly went Soul's way, so Beastie Cutie took that earlier fight a bit greater, but Soul managed to come back just fine here. So here we are, we've got Soul this time actually going for the quicker barracks here. Beastie Cutie not having his quicker barracks. So this game is certainly going Soul's way. He invested more into SCVs. Not necessarily too many SCVs were killed, but Soul sort of denied mining a bit more, went much more greedy, and this is actually a great position for Soul, I'd say. He's up on army supply. He's sort of got the better tech right now. Well, not necessarily the better tech, but the quicker tech. He's building up quicker. And honestly, it looks like this could very well be setting us up to go into a Game 7 here. What a great match between these players. Soul's scanning just to know exactly where he's at, seeing Beastie Cutie's macroing a bit, knowing that he'll just need to be a bit safe here. Soul might want to move out though, but Beastie Cutie actually going to have the quicker stim despite having the 2 later barracks here. Soul just getting up his tech lab, so he will be able to start his stim pack soon, but it is going to be a little bit later. Beastie Cutie trying to find some angle here, and this could very well be it. These siege tanks sieging up the natural base here. Gonna start shelling away at this command center. He's got the Viking lead, but he sort of move commanded those Vikings to aid a shot there. However, he does still have this lead right now. Unfortunately, that dead mule can't repair his Raven. And mining has been denied. Beastie Cutie, once again, he's sort of went for the less economy option, but he's getting damaged in it right now. He's gonna force this command center to be lifted, or at the very least repaired. This is getting very weak. Soul's just going for aggression. These 2 tanks can take a great fight. Beastie Cutie throwing down those 2 auto turrets, buying time. These tanks are now shelling away into Soul's army, and it seems that Beastie Cutie may have actually just done it. He may have just done enough damage here. This command center is getting very, very weak. The Vikings are going to lift off, force it to be repaired. Going to start shooting away on it. The SCVs are repairing, and this game is starting to go Beastie Cutie's way. Soul still has a worker lead, but he's got this position right now. Viking goes down. That is not repaired by Soul. He was too busy repairing that CC, and it seems that Soul's actually just trying to break this. This is a bit risky right now. Gonna certainly bleed off some SCVs. One of the tanks in siege is the other gets some critical shots off on SCVs. We saw the Raven auto turret get some harass on Beastie Cutie, and look at this. This game has evened up right now. Both Beastie Cutie fighting not to have to go to that game 7, where Soul's just trying to hang on right now, and it seems Soul's opting for a counterattack. But Beastie Cutie gonna have that slightly quicker stim pack. Beastie Cutie also gonna have that +1 on the way, investing in this tech. As long as Beastie Cutie is sieged up here and isn't sort of caught off guard, sort of split up, but right now it seems these players are going to meet in the middle of the map right now. Soul is sort of grouped up more. There's 2 tanks for Beastie Cutie, a handful of Marines. Both players see this right now. Beastie Cutie does have stim, though Soul does not. He's actually going to be able to get on top of this army right now. These Marines are stimming, but he may have overcommitted a bit too much. Those Marines had stim earlier, but yes, that's not enough. Both players scanning. It's so critical. If you lose a couple of units, you can simply lose the game in this situation right now. Beastie Cutie opting for a drop right now, pulling back, whereas Soul is also retreating right now. Actually, no, Soul's going to opt for his own drop, it looks like. Both these players thinking alike. That Terran mindset, if you can't go for a front attack, go for some harassment. Looking at this game has evened up very, very much. Beastie Cutie is down a bit on the workers right now. He's down a bit on the army supply, but he has things like slightly quicker upgrades. Soul, though, going to have quicker combat shield, but this drop for Beastie Cutie is hitting earlier, but it is going to be forced back by these reinforcements for Soul. Soul's drop just sitting here idly for now. There is, I believe, a spot or 2 that Beastie Cutie cannot see.
Nothing left in that mineral
Maybe
cluster.
right in the air blocker, but no, he's going to drop on top of this supply depot or just go straight into the mineral line. Combat shield has finished up for Soul, so his Marines may be able to sort of slaughter a few reinforcements. He's going to move in. He's going to kill off these few Marines. He's going to start working on some workers. No pun intended there. He's going to pick off maybe a supply depot or 2 or a few Marines here. But ultimately, he's just messing with Beastie Cutie. Meanwhile, Liberator harassment, getting some damage done. Soul trying to get this to a game number 7. Beastie Cutie going for a drop, going to drop on top of this tank, but more units pop out for Soul. So he's heading towards the main, going to maybe deny a bit of production building. This Liberator has yet to be cleaned up. A couple Marines started just moving across, but they need to get on top of this and not get shot by this Liberator here. Soul doing a great job. Beastie Cutie killing off a few workers right now, but Soul had an income lead. And Soul continuing to have that income lead. Both players, it's very close right now, but Soul is sort of edging out a lead right now. His drops have been a bit more effective there. And now we see Soul's actually going for a large drop here, a bit of a doom drop by all means. Beastie Cutie's at his natural, he's pulling into his main base. Maybe he sniffs this out. Maybe he just thinks it's a good idea to reposition right now. Soul is flying around by all means, but he's pulling back once again, deciding not to go for it. So we have Soul rejoining his army at the front right now. Beastie QT got his tanks in his main base. His natural, he's got 3 tanks there, so it's going to be tough for Soul to break him. We're going to see neither player has gone for a third base right now. So this is some just aggression, headbutting against each other, like I said. And now we see Soul up on army supply, trying to sort of just see what BCQT is up to. BCQT repositioning now. Scans going down by both players, wanting to see what's up. Okay, BCQT running forward with a Marine, just seeing this. BCQT has this sensor tower, just wanting to be prepared for this attack. Soul's just sitting out. This is sort of like the last game in which both, well, I believe it was the Cactus Valley game, which both players were just looking for something to get done right now. And now we see BCQT's actually moved in with a large portion of Marines. Those Marines took a lot of damage from that siege tank and were forced off, though. So he picked off a siege tank, but he bled off a large amount of Marines. He's now in the range of the sensor tower, so Soul knows you're there, BCQT.
SCV ready.
Now, +1 armor on the way for both players. The unit count, BCQT ahead on tanks, down on Marines. Soul sort of just sieging this position while he gets up his third base. I believe he floated his main base. Yes, he did. So he wants that income advantage. Whereas BCQT is not looking towards getting a third base right now. He's sort of being locked down, though. This could be very bad for BCQT if Soul holds this position. It's close right now. A siege tank being shelled away. BCQT not scanning in time. These Vikings are here to clean up some of these medivacs. He's actually going to get a few. Very important here. Going to give him air control right now, but any time that Soul buys right now is very important for him. 5 SCVs went down. I believe that was a drop by BCQT. And this is one hell of a close game. Right now, Soul is sort of locking BCQT out. He's got the quicker expansion. The income is almost double for Soul, so this game might run away from BCQT. Both players going to be having +1 armor, finishing up BCQT, running out a couple of Marines, but this is a very, very scary army for Soul. I don't believe BCQT can directly engage this. Maybe he needs to go for a drop or something to come back into this game. Or maybe he needs to catch Soul out of position. One of these things needs to happen for him to come back into this game, as Soul is now ahead on army supply. He's going to continue to grow ahead on army supply as long as BCQT does not have another base. His main base is all but mined out. BCQT is trying to break out. He's sieging up, but Soul's going for an engagement, getting on top of this. The tanks are sieging, though, for BCQT. His army's beefy enough to survive here. He loses a few units, but Soul has the army supply. He can trade all day long right now, it seems. BCQT is heading towards an army, but he's really on one base mining right now, so upgrade should not be his priority. Although maybe he does want to try and just hang on, get that +2 attack or something like that. Soul, though, he's producing more tanks on the way, Marines on the way. He's going to grow an army supply. These Vikings for BCQT are sort of helping him a great deal. Picking off Soul's Viking there, sort of denying Soul from just sort of abusing his siege tanks. BCQT eventually will need to inch forward, though. Getting a Liberator apparently is his choice for this. And now Soul unsieges. He may be pushing towards the natural here. It's a very narrow choke point, so he needs to be careful if he does decide to go for it. Maybe some sort of drop into the natural here, as that is exposed right now. Soul actually looking to move towards that natural. BCQT intercepting it, though. He's got these Vikings, though. He's going to have this air control, and he's sieging all his tanks. Soul up against this, clumping up, going to eat a few siege tank shots. BCQT is hanging on, but this situation is not getting better for him as this game continues on. He's just sort of bleeding out at this point. He's almost mined out as his natural. Soul happily mining, even though it is only on 2 CCs. He'll likely even float his natural to a 4th base soon, whereas BCQT is just hanging on. The Marine count very in favor of Soul right now. He's in fact doubling BCQT's army supply. BCQT decided to go for a drop, but Soul is going to tie up this game as he pushes forward, it seems. Just enough to destroy BCQT, and GG gets called. This game's going to an ace match. It is 3-3 in this best of 7. I hope you guys are enjoying this cast. I hope you're enjoying this tournament. When you decide to do a best of 7 finals, this is what you hope for. We're just going to be getting into the final map, which will be Proxima Station here. Hope you guys are really enjoying this cast. We've had a lot of aggression in this series. We're going to see, will we see something like a Reaper, or will we see the players just sort of butt heads once again to try and end the series, to try and take home first place here. Just getting the lobby made here. Alright, Soul is certainly rearing to go here. Hope you guys are enjoying this. Alright. We're just getting into the game. It is the final game on Proxima Station here. Dang, 3-3. Here we go. That is certainly the best way to put it. So, getting into 3-3. Spawning down in the bottom left-hand side of the map. Beastie Cutie forced to go to an ace match, playing for Team Mayan Sanity. And his opponent, Soul. Will he be able to take another game and take the series, playing for True Esport? So, once again, we're seeing this gas first, but there's certainly been a lot of diversity in these builds from these players. We're just going to see a standard gas first. We're going to see whether each player will expand. Will one of them go for the more aggression in this series? It's sort of gone many different ways in all the matches. Soul in that last game opted for that quicker gas and it worked out for him. But other times in which Beastie Cutie opted for the quicker gas, it did not work out for him. So we're going to see how this works out. Soul looking to cue that SCV towards his natural base, so it's looking like he will be going for that sort of greedier build. Beastie Cutie, though, he's opted for that gas, sort of sticking to the way they've been playing this series. Beastie Cutie going to be going for that aggression and then trying to find a lead and then sort of stick with it, where Soul's trying to get that initial lead and hang on to it here. Soul SCV scouting, maybe a bit worried for a proxy here, just running out to the front of his base, making sure that there's nothing blatantly right in front of him here. Getting that CC up, that's certainly worth it to scout when you're going for a greedy build. Not necessarily greedy, but more macro-oriented. Beastie Cutie opting for this second Reaper, I believe. Or no, that is just his first Reaper here. Then going right into Tech Lab, so it looks like it's going to be Banshee from Beastie Cutie once again here. Hoping to similar recreate his win on Cactus Valley. It looks like going for a Cyclone right away, though, here. That defensive Cyclone, then going for that Starport. So it looks like it will be Banshees. The Reapers meeting in the middle of the map here. They're going to skirmish. It looks like Beastie Cutie may catch the tail end of this and may fall down. His Reaper's now going to run for its life. Soul actually not choosing to pursue it, even though Beastie Cutie's Reaper would be trapped here. Maybe a bit worried of a Hellion, maybe a bit worried of a Cyclone or a second Reaper. So Soul Does not kill that Reaper, but it sort of keeps him. Beastie Cutie's Reaper's not fully regenerated. Soul could possibly get off a shot here. They are going to meet once again. Beastie Cutie throws down a grenade, pushes Soul away. These Reapers are skirmishing in the center of this map. Soul going to jump into the main base, but the Cyclone is going to intercept it and catch it. No sneaking past that. Beastie Cutie now getting up his Cloak, his Banshee on the way, and Widowmine as well. Whereas Soul just finishing up his Starport. Widowmine of his own, not going to be in position to intercept a Banshee just yet, though he may reposition it. That Widowmine actually kills off that Reaper. The Reaper sort of sees all the tech, though, so Beastie Cutie can assume the build from Soul. Safe to assume it is double command center. Now, Soul has been dropping mules either, so we're going to see, will Soul save up to sort of scan here to be able to deal with the Banshee? That first Banshee is out for Beastie Cutie. He's sort of just going to run it the long way around, possibly aim for the natural base here, whereas Soul's opting for a drop, a Widowmine Marine drop. This can get a large amount of damage on this drop can, or it may simply just intercept this Banshee. It's going to be close, and yes, they do intercept. Soul may be able to just get on top of this Banshee. Instead, he opts to pass it right now. We see an engineering bay on the way for Soul immediately, but the Banshee's heading towards that SUV, building it. The Cyclone, though, is there. Like Liberator on the way to actually chase down that Banshee. We see more Marines on the way. Now Soul drops at the front. He eats a Widowmine, though. The Medivac is going to go down, or it just hangs on, but these units are very weak, and the Medivac actually flies a bit far forward. Soul busy dealing with this Banshee right now. He scans to lock onto the Banshee, but that's just going to buy him a second here. Does he have enough for another scan? Yes, he does. So he will be able to force us back for another second while these turrets get up here. Soul will be in a fine position as long as he holds on right now. That drop didn't get any damage done. The scan going down, the Cyclone not locking on, the Banshee immediately moving out of the range. The missile turret has finished up, so the Liberator will be able to start shooting this Banshee here. And the Banshee does go down. Another Banshee, though, for Beastie Cutie is heading towards the natural base. This Liberator, though, moving to intercept. Sort of the 1-2 punch being predicted by Soul there. Meanwhile, this Widowmine does get finally cleaned up by Soul, or by Beastie Cutie, and right now it seems Soul just ahead in the lead right now. However, Beastie Cutie does have these quicker racks once again. Soul may get the quicker +1 this game, though, as he does have that armory, that engineering bay already finished up. Hope you guys are enjoying this series. We're going to see who's going to manage to take it. It's very close right now, as have most of these games been, until the deciding moment in which someone sort of takes it and then runs away with it. Raven out for Beastie Cutie, taking the long way around, going to try and get some damage done. The Banshee going to be shooed away by this missile turret. Beastie Cutie opting for the Raven aggression now to try and get some workers. Barracks on the way for Soul right now. We see 2 siege tanks done here for Soul, getting up a third, so really no Marine tank aggression or drop aggression is going to find its way into this game right now. Liberator, though, trying to get some workers killed, but really just denying mining time, gets 1. This Viking is going to start shooting away on this Liberator, but it does pull back for a second. This Liberator may be able to escape. Just barely. It's going to have to run. It hides in the corner. It's making a run for it, and it looks like it will escape there. Very well done by Soul. He moves it, but not all the way. It needs to move again. Oh, it looks like this lid may go down. And yes, it is going to go down. Both these players focused on more. This auto turret going down to try and shoo away this Viking. This Raven is being chased away, not getting too much done. And both players losing an air unit there. Or no. Yes, actually, Soul losing his Liberator. Beastie Cutie losing his Raven. Sort of an eye for an eye there. Stimpack, though, on the way for Beastie Cutie. Much, much quicker this game like before. +1 on the way for Soul sooner, though. Stimpack, Combat Shield on the way. So both players sort of taking steps in this game, but not sort of equally here. We're going to see who will take out the advantage. Beastie Cutie going to have this quicker Stimpack. But as we've seen in past games, that sort of hasn't acclimated to too much, or sort of came out to be worth too much. +1 is on the way for Soul. He is going to have that quicker attack. He's getting up more racks here, whereas Beastie Cutie, I believe, is just sitting on 3 for now. Soul spending all of his money. He's going to be producing as much as he can. Beastie Cutie ahead an army supply, down on workers. That's sort of been the trend of this game right now. Well, the trend of these games, a third CC on the way for Soul. Okay, so he's deciding to go for some sort of defensive play right now. And on this map, as a Terran player, it's not too hard to defend this Banshee's moving in. It is going to be possibly delay this CC. Beastie Cutie, well, Soul scans there. The Banshee is going to go down. Beastie Cutie scans, well, sees all those tanks. And now Beastie Cutie is going to be going for some aggression. He sees that these tanks are sort of alone. He's going to drop on top of these tanks. He's moving in for the aggression. The tanks are sort of shooting at each other, and Beastie Cutie's moving in. He's going to siege up his own tanks. No, he actually hasn't sieged that tank yet, but he is going to take a great fight at the front. Soul does not have Stimpack done yet. Beastie Cutie does. He denies the third base. Whereas Soul's dropping the natural of Beastie Cutie. It is going to go down unless Beastie Cutie repairs it. He's not. He's pulling the SCVs into the fight to absorb it. And Soul is forced to lift off. The command center lives, whereas we're going into a base trade here. Beastie Cutie, he needs to hold on. He's got a siege tank to solidify him. Does Soul. Beastie Cutie's trying to get some damage done. But it's not too likely he'll be able to push in. The command center is repaired by Soul. There's a siege tank at the natural of Beastie Cutie. He does have that stim. Soul's stim is just going to be finishing up. He's going to start shredding SCVs. Beastie Cutie comes in sort of at a bad angle, though. These Marines are going to have to trade and pull back to the siege tank. Workers in the lead for Soul right now. Soul had his third base canceled. Beastie Cutie, however, has bled off a large amount of workers right now. He's trying to get some damage done. Goes for a drop. It might get picked off. No, he hangs on. Just sort of buying his position right now, though. Soul gonna actually drop on top of this army. Beastie Cutie unloading this. May actually have been a bit of an aggressive unload for Soul, though. Beastie Cutie's Cyclones sort of shredded through a large amount of the units. But this drop ultimately was cleaned up. Well, that pressure was ultimately cleaned up. And now Beastie Cutie opts to go for another push. Neither player on a third. Beastie Cutie down on workers, though. However, Soul is ahead on the income. If Beastie Cutie transfers a few workers, he will more or less be saturated, but he's losing more and more units here. This drop for Soul is getting its value worth. Might lose a medivac there, but no, he manages to hold on right now. Soul, he's got quite a scary army at the front right now, but Beastie Cutie has some supply in medivacs. Right now we see a sensor tower going up for Soul, wanting to be secured from drops, but Beastie Cutie's moving in from the other side. Soul scanning, seeing there's no third base. This game is becoming very, very close. Beastie Cutie needs more medivacs at home to sort of solidify his army. This double drop, though, could possibly get some great damage done. Soul is open here. He's moving towards his third base. Beastie Cutie could find some room with this. But no, Soul is pulling back in case there is a drop here. Neither Soul has gone for the quicker third base once again. He may be looking to take this series. He's got an SCV advantage, but Beastie QT has the army lead. And as we've seen, the numbers don't necessarily tell the entire story. Those medivacs, I believe, are just out of the range of the sensor tower here. Yes, they are. So Beastie QT, those medivacs are almost sort of trapped here. He's either got to go or not go. Soul, understandably coming out of position, as I mean, he's not necessarily expecting two medivacs to be chilling right here this entire game. Or for the past little while. Anyway, we see Soul sieging up his position right now. Beastie Cutie's wanting to get some damage done, breaking down these rocks, because why not, I guess. Possibly a reinforcement path or to prevent. Right now we see Beastie Cutie. Oh, was that drop just sniped out? I believe that drop for Beastie Cutie was sniped out. Beastie Cutie going for a large attack right now. These tanks are sieging up, but it seems he's lost a large amount of his buffer, and Soul's going to collapse on top of these tanks. He's going to take this out, and GG as Soul takes the series. Soul taking the series, taking the entire tournament. This invitational went to him. Very well played by Soul. Very, very well played. So, hope you guys enjoyed this tournament. This has been the first Afreeca World, so make sure to say thanks to Afreeca for this. Maybe we'll have more of these tournaments. It's been very well done. A Terran versus Terran mirror finals. People might not have been too excited for that, but TVT has been great lately. It's certainly been action-packed, at least. So if you guys enjoyed the tournament, feel free to follow. I'll do more Starcraft content on here. The VODs will be on my YouTube. Otherwise, I believe that is everything, and I shall see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.